Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Newly acquired free agent DJ Wamam rehabbing an injury. Mike Williams and Chase Young off the table, but for the best maybe. Free agent Jordan Fuller joins the Carolina Panthers. OT Yash Midgman, and David Moore and more. Your calls at 252-228-5098. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. It might be time for the Carolina Panthers to give me a press pass, as we're going to show you that these reporters don't even know what side of the ball these Carolina Panthers play for tonight. Damian Lewis, inside info on why he joined the Panthers and how he wants to put your face in the dirt to set the tone. I'm setting the tone right now. Cody Lack, my wheel man. Good to hang out with you again.
Dude, you know there's no way I would rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here with my boys talking to Carolina Panthers. Look, we're going to have, I guess, basically our own kind of assessment of Dan Morgan tonight and what he has done for the Panthers thus far and how he's added to the offense, how he's added to the defense. A lot of the mainstream media members have been talking a lot about the Panthers and not how great we've been. And we also made some last-minute signings literally right before the show. Tony, you know we're going to talk about all of that and more with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's our boy Panther Pickle, Antonio McClanahan, Daniel Berry Sports, my man C3 Anthony, D's Ill Skills, what's up, baby, brand ambassador, Doug Reeder, Harvey London, Jake the Snake FU, Mr. Strats, Muscles Marinara Paisan, what's up, brother? Off the porch, that's D from Sanford, Rock Rhyme, and Van Johnson. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. We want to hear your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers free agency. Is Dan Morgan the destroyer or the restorer? We'll be talking about that tonight, plus more. We want to get your thoughts on some of these, the second wave of free agents. But before that, we got to welcome in the man with the golden pipes. He might be a debt collector, but he's not bringing receipts because he's always optimistic. He is the most optimistic of our bunch. CK, good to have you in the house.
Man, I'm just happy to be here again. Another Tuesday night. We get to chop it up with the family. And, I'm just happy. I'm just happy, man. We've got some things to look forward to, but ultimately we have no expectations and we have no reason to expect this team to be great. And the only thing that can possibly happen is we just exist the same way we expect it to, or we get better. And right now, I think that's a great way to live. There's only one way to go up from here.
No doubt,
upward, baby.
No doubt. Thanks to all the people tuning in, for real. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe. Growing each and every week. Look, it's the off season and the numbers just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. This is the longest running Panthers podcast, and it's because you guys bring the heat in the chat. We appreciate it. Cody Lack, let's jump into tonight's show. Really what brought this to my mind, destroyer or restorer, is Dan Morgan destroying or restoring the Carolina Panthers, your title. One of the things I saw some people talking about is that they said all these people talking about the Carolina Panthers trying to rebuild, but these moves suggest they're trying to win now. And because I'm trying to be less argumentative when I got real work to do, I don't think that's the case. I don't see where this win now mentality is so far, but is Dan Morgan destroying or restoring the Carolina Panthers winning culture? We'll start with that opening question, then we'll get to the news.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that Dan Morgan, obviously, without having seen the Panthers play a snap of football this year, I think Dan Morgan has done a good job giving the task at hand and what he had to do and all the different holes that there were on this football team. And no, I don't think we're done yet, Tony. I think that there might be another wide receiver signing. It might not be the one that you wanted during free agency, but I do think that he is going to build to it a little bit more. We obviously have the draft that we're looking forward to a lot, but I think when you consider that we all agreed that there were so many different holes on this roster, and it feels like he has done such a good job at going through one by one and checking those boxes. He got more protection for Bryce Young with the addition of 2 big-time guards. You go out and you trade for a dynamic wide receiver from Pittsburgh in the form of Deontay Johnson, who is an incredible route runner, who's young, has the opportunity to build and grow along with Bryce Young. I think that was a great thing to do for Bryce and for the offense as a whole. And when you look on the defense, I'll be honest with you, Tony, not all the names are the big names that necessarily make you freak out about what your defense is going to look like in 2024. But there were names that I do think will be serviceable enough to at least keep the Panthers somewhat competitive in this division, accounting that this offense can finally figure out how to move the ball.
I have a hard time believing that this is an attempt to win now. I do think it's an attempt to get better from yesterday and last season. But what does win now mean? Does it mean win more games? Certainly. Does it mean to fill out a roster? Oh, yeah. But if you look at these moves, they have all been pinpointed on building a opportunity for Bryce Young to improve this season. Not to thrive incredibly or all of a sudden go and win the division. But this entire offseason, to me, looks like it's built under the premise of giving Bryce Young protection up front enough to where we can then evaluate him going forward as a quarterback. And despite what your thoughts are on Bryce Young, mine are positive, optimistic, but not crowning him as a great necessarily. The Carolina Panthers need to know if Bryce Young is going to be their future, or not their future, but if they're willing to risk their future on this young man going forward. Because the worst thing you could do is meander through that question this next season and then get into a top 5 pick and wonder, hey, do we need to move on? Right? So I don't understand in many ways how this could be considered a win now moment. I think it is doing what you need to do to build this team, to rebuild this team. I don't even like the term rebuild. Build this team towards a successful future. And that starts with putting an offensive line in front of Bryce Young. CK, when it comes to how do you see this? How do you see these moves as a win now moment? I thought you brought up a great point that we don't have expectations. I don't think that the front office has a tremendous amount of expectations in the win category necessarily. Does that mean that they don't want to win? Does that mean they don't want to win games? But I feel like finally we've got the burden lifted off our shoulder to where it's like, oh, we can win the NFC South. Right. We can do it. We just need to get better. Has Dan Morgan been making this team better?
That's, again, I'm hesitant to say yes for a couple of reasons. I feel like there has been a lot of shifting. I don't know that we've moved the bar as a whole. Like if you play Madden, every team has an overall score, right? And that's a combination of the players that you have on the team, be it offense and defense. Do I think that our score is better than it was last year? I really don't know. I think a lot of the issues we had last year we're working to correct, and that is a positive. However, we also have a lot of more, we have a lot of turnover. We have a lot of the pieces that were potentially good no longer here. And I don't know that we can say that it's better. And I hesitate to say that we're better because of what happened last year. Like we were legitimately thinking this team filled the majority of its holes, at least a lot of fans were. I know, Tony, you had a concern with the offensive line, but we legitimately thought we had a shot at being NFC South champions. We thought we had a chance to make it to the playoffs, and we ended up where we were. I'm not willing to put that same type of optimism on this team. I could say I could see a slight improvement, but I don't know that it's significant enough for me to feel like this team's better than last year.
Now, it's going to be hard to judge, particularly at this time in the season, and really until the game's on the field.
Yeah.
If they're going to be better than last year. In many ways, it's going to be difficult to be worse than they were last year. And I will caution to use
the
that
worst team in the NFL, by the way.
Man,
like,
the worst Carolina Panthers team ever, dude. I mean, it really was. You might have said, you can give me all this other bullshit. That was the worst thing I've watched. I mean, I even think 2010, you just expected it to be terrible. Perhaps our expectations were inflated to where it made it feel worse. But that team was uncompetitive. That's why not competitive at any stretch. But for me, CK, I think what I mean by getting better, and I understand your reservation, is getting better incrementally. And that is without the expectation of necessarily winning, but getting better in a way to position yourself for the future. Now, I will caution that I said it couldn't get any worse after Matt Rule, and it did. So, I mean, look, if you have reservations about this team going forward and the additions being made, particularly people looking at the defense, look, there's nobody that can really give you much evidence or any reason to say that you're not warranted in having that. I will say, though, as people tell us, the defense is going to stink, right? It stunk last year, guys. Let's be honest. We've had this argument over and over on this podcast, but you cannot tell me that you are a Giro Evero believer, a proponent of him, and then get upset that he's bringing in all his guys.
Yeah. I mean, they have a type, like the guys that
played for Evero in the past.
They played for Evero or they played for Seattle at some point in time. And I mean, listen, I like that they have a vision that they're building towards, that they have a clear definition of what they think will do well in their scheme. And hey, I'll drop a little hint. I kind of think that it's very probably that we're going to be using one of those first two picks on a defensive player, either a defensive lineman or, maybe even a corner if one falls to us. Like, I think that since a good majority of our free agency has been more towards offense, that they might throw Evero a bone come draft night when we finally are on the clock.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a draft guru. I don't know anything about who is coming out, what's going to be happening. But let me tell you this, is people who are draft gurus don't know anything about what's going to be happening at 33 or whatever it may be. We are rooting for the Falcons and the Eagles to get stripped of a first-round pick because of potential tampering, which could propel us to like 31, which would be cool. But we want to hear your thoughts on, is Dan Morgan destroying or restoring the Carolina Panthers? The number is 252-228-5098. I want to remind you guys that this show is sponsored by DraftKings, right? Guys, North Carolina, people in North Carolina, legal sports betting is now officially live. To celebrate, DraftKings is giving new users $250 in bonus bets for a limited time. All you have to do is register for DraftKings using our code FSBETS. That's FSBETS. Deposit $5 and place a $5 bet, $5 first bet to instantly receive $250 in bonus bets. The best part is that you get all your rewards even if your $5 bet loses. If you signed up for DraftKings with our early bird offer last week, you'll automatically receive the $250 in bonus bets after placing your first bet. Register with the code, with our code FSBETS. Not only gets you these fantastic bonuses, but it helps directly support this podcast. The more people that use that code, potentially these people will see us as worthy of being sponsors when we get around to the football season. I can't tell you how much the C3 Panthers podcast could use additional sponsors as we continue into our 11th year as the longest running Panthers podcast. This offer is only around for a few weeks, so don't miss out. Remember to enter our promo code FSBETS to claim your $250 in bonus bets. It's only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in North Carolina. Please remember to gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call 877-718-5543. Check out the episode description for the full terms of the offer. Cody Lack, I'm betting that we got some new stuff, some new players to talk about. Let's jump into this show.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night, man. And listen, Tony, we already talked about some of this on the free-for-all, but it's time for the boys to discuss it. Let's circle back a little bit, get you guys' opinion on some of these new signings. And one of those is another guy who has a lot of experience with the Ejiro Evero, and that is brand new Panthers safety Jordan Fuller. This guy has played very well since he's been in the NFL, kind of like a heat-seeking missile. After you lose Jeremy Chin, now I think that you've brought in this box safety that is going to act as sort of that nickel linebacker almost in Ejiro Evero's defense. How are we feeling about this?
Well, I think that what I am feeling is that the Carolina Panthers, as they're attempting to rebuild this team, as they were able to secure Ejiro Evero for another season. And let's not act like this was a hard decision for Evero. Once he didn't get a head coaching job, my man, I said this, is I'm making $8 million. I think it's $8 or $9 million as a defensive coordinator, dude. Remember, David Tepper opened up the checkbook last season, and he said, we will spare no expense. We're going to go out there and pay all these guys. Evero was like one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid defensive coordinator. Somebody in the chat can help me out to find out if there's a higher paid one. I think this is what you're saying to Evero is we've got to allocate the big money to the offense because we have to evaluate Bryce Young, but we're going to let you be the guy who makes the decisions about who to bring in for this defense. Jordan Fuller's a guy that's played with him, right? He's a guy that's familiar with him. All of these guys that they're bringing on defense have played with him. So if you are an Evero fan, it's hard for me to understand how you cannot at least be understanding of these additions. Now, I won't be excited by this guy because all the Rams people go mid, this and that when it comes to this guy or these guys or this guy specifically. But really, how much of I feel like this is lateral moves in so many ways. If you're upset that we lost Von Bell, who played half the season last year, it's okay at times, pretty good at times. But I feel like Von Bell just brought more name recognition than necessarily incredible play on the field. So I'm comfortable with these additions because I feel like Evero's signing off on these.
Yeah, I am too. CK, you have a thought on Fuller?
Dude, I think I think it's a solid signing. I don't know that, again, I don't feel as though it's an exciting move, right. But like you said, I mean, there's something to be said about the fact that these guys are coming to play for guys that they've played for already. I think it speaks to the character of these coaches, maybe even the character of Dan Morgan. So I'd love to be able to say that there is some positives there. However, we'll see. I mean, one of the things that I think that if we're looking at it for a positive, I would say one of the more intriguing things is Shaq Thompson taking a pay cut this year again, and him still having this sort of urge to bring quality football back to Charlotte. The fact that he's still sticking around for this defense and this team tells me that he has real belief in what this defense is supposed to be. So I hope he's right, and I hope his efforts aren't in vain. But this Jordan Fuller thing, again, just another drop in the bucket. It's something that needed to happen. That's ultimately what it boils down to. You have to build a roster. You have to fill out players, but the familiarity with Evero. And it's just that's what the positive about it is, right? Is that Evero
Look, Evero brought in the Troy Hill guy, right?
Yeah.
I always screw his name up. They re-signed him. He was one of the better players last year. That familiarity with him. Clearly, Evero likes guys that he's worked with or that feels comfortable with, and i.e., look at Jeremy Chin and his declining snaps last year, and now with the Washington Commanders. We are continuing to transition into a position where he can implement a defense, and if he sticks around. But as I've done this podcast for a long time, I look back from that long time where the long stretch where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from about they won the 2000, I think they won the championship around that time. And then they win it again, basically when they win it, 2019 or something like that with Brady, maybe a little later, 20 years later. I watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I watched them win for 20 years in March and April in free agency. And then they failed to win in September, October, November, December, and into January, right? So for me, the fact that these free agent signings are underwhelming actually is heartening to me. Is that what it signals to me is this is like a slow, steady trod up the mountain instead of this idea, this allure. How many times did we hear Matt Rule? Do you remember what was it when we swung and missed on Matt Stafford and we swung and missed on Deshaun Watson? And then we got Sam Darnold and he started off 3-0. And then the Carolina Panthers, what they do after somebody got hurt? Oh, it was JC Horn. And then they went and make a move for CJ. They're like, oh, this is our year. They bought into their own. They bought in more than anybody. So
and Stephon Gilmore, too. Don't forget
for
Gilmore.
Me, this is just like, look, is that if you want to be overwhelmed right now, you're going to be underwhelmed when it comes time to play football.
Yeah. And again, when you have the number one pick in the draft, we may not own it, but that number one pick was ours. I mean, we're the ones that gave the number one overall pick to the Bears. So I think, you're just kind of, at this point, you're not looking to be wowed, like you said, but you're looking to see that you filled some holes and that you were able to kind of bolster your roster a little bit. And again, it's nothing to write home about yet, but I think there's been some solid moves. And something else I don't know if we've had the opportunity to fully react to yet is DJ Wonnum. So you lose Brian Burns, and a lot of people in the media told us that we got fleeced, that we lost the deal. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more because that hasn't really died out. But the Panthers are signing DJ Wonnum, who had 8 sacks for the Minnesota Vikings last year. He is an edge rusher. And basically, Tony, he's good for about 8 sacks a year. He's had an 8-sack year, a 4-sack year in 2022. And then in 2021, he was good for 8 sacks. He's physical at the line of scrimmage, has a good get off. He has good fighting with his hands. He's able to disengage from tackles. And he's big and strong. And it seems to be the type of defender that Ejiro Rivero and them want for this defensive line. Boys, what y'all say about DJ Wonnum and the fact that he underwent surgery and they're saying he might not be ready for OTAs. He's not even sure if he'll be ready.
DJ, hit it. Want him with 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 it. Want him. Oh, DJ Wonnum. Look, a lot of people are going to talk junk about this dude because it's not Brian Burns. It's not Brian Burns. Look, you're not going to get Brian Burns. Or guess what? You didn't have. You know what? He also doesn't have Brian Burns' contract. Let's go ahead and pick this up. Want him with him. Want him with him. Want him with him. Boy, do you remember he had a fumble recovery touchdown against who? The Carolina Panthers last year. Oh,
yeah.
Want him with him. Want him with him. No, look, again, am I going to be excited about this? No. Right? Is that
an actual song you were singing, by the way? Like,
wobble with it. You ever heard that? Wobble with it, wobble with it, wobble with it.
Oh, yeah, but you were saying Wonnum. So
his name is Wonnum.
Yeah, it didn't sound. I didn't connect wobble and Wonnum.
Okay. You didn't see
Sorry,
this?
sorry, I fucked up your dad joke.
All right. Well, you know what? There are people laughing at me. You can either laugh at me or laugh with me. I don't give a shit right
Oh,
now.
it's all good.
Look, I mean, again, underwhelming, certainly. But guess what? That's what this offseason's going to be for the Carolina Panthers.
Sure.
It is a rebuild, not a win now. This is about making a roster that you can at least try. Filling out the 53. Filling out the 53. The thing about this, though, is that I'm not ready to go 8 for 8. Like, oh, he had 8 sacks. Brian Burns had 8 sacks. Because people here, they're going to get in here. Here comes the Brian Burns suckies. Oh, 8 sacks. They're not the same. Not all sacks are the same. Look, he had Darnell Hunter on the other side. He's just cleaning up. He's cleaning up. I guess we could have said Brian Burns was just cleaning up when Hassan Reddick was around. No, we're not going to say that. Look, I'm sure this player's going to want to come in and play hard. Now, the question is, look, he's dealing, I think, with a quad injury that he is, what he said, in the lab still working on. Am I worried about this? No. Now, I mean, if we get to the time of training camp and he's still dealing with this, I'll be worried about it. But OTAs are like in a month. No.
Well, I also
2 months maybe.
Yeah, I also think it's that in combination with the fact that we also signed K'Lavon Chaisson, a former high pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And look, his stats, they're not going to do anything for you. Like the most sacks he's gotten in a year is 2. So again, not a whole lot doing in terms of like star power, but again, we're not done with the draft, and I don't think that we're done in free agency too. I still think there's a chance that Kev's boy Jadeveon Clowney could be on the way, and him and EJ Wanham can share their South Carolina Gamecock stories of them losing to Clemson. So it ought to be fun.
We want them. Wama know. We want them. Wama know what you think at 252-228-5098. Look again. Why do people? And look, I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but where did the idea that the Panthers were going to wow in free agency even derive from?
No, you know what? We do this every year. We hear that there are big players that come onto the market, and we're like, oh, I would love to have a Mike Williams. Oh, I would love to have a T. Higgins. Oh, I would love to have a da-da-da. And whoever it is every year, there's always a player that Panther fans are drooling over. And then we get our hopes up, and they don't come here, you know? It's like the Panthers have to get over that hump as an organization where Panther fans can actually expect those types of signings. Until we get off the ground, that's not us.
I completely understand in the past being disappointed about not making moves when we actually thought there was something to make moves for. Right? Is that you do not rebuild teams through free agency. You add players, which I think we did. We added 2 rather young offensive guards. Right. You got to think back to some of these teams, 2 teams that come to mind. And now they did a lot of this through the draft, too. But we did draft Icky in the top, 6 or something like that 2 years ago. You think of the Cowboys historically being terrible at offensive line, and then they just went offensive line for like 3 years straight. The Indianapolis Colts did this after Andrew Luck's rookie season, I believe, or second season where he's just getting ruined. Right? Is that I don't understand when it comes to high profile skill players, how you build a team through free agency like that. Right. To me, those are what you do when you are pieces away from making a difference. Right. From getting better. Like those are what teams do when they feel like they can win. So I don't know where this idea that the Carolina Panthers not only have, and look, I mean, you can feel how you want to feel, but I think it would be reckless to be going out and trying to splash it right now.
Yeah. I mean, we have a little team that could feel it. Like we don't have the biggest, best roster, but dude, maybe if these coaches can really motivate these guys, maybe we can pull off a few surprise W's. I think that's what we're hoping for. And then you see people in the chat room also wondering what guys like Amari Barno could now do in his third year. And Tony, you've always said that when you're a D lineman, it takes you about 3 years to turn it on. And I think we would all agree that with the skill set that Barno has, this is probably his best opportunity now to make some waves and make some splashes. So, yeah, we're going to have to, we're shopping at the bargain bin, and we know that. But it doesn't mean that you can't make a damn good meal off of a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying?
I just want to eat, man. And what I mean by that is I don't need to. Yeah, I am hungry. I'm hungry just for improvement. You know what? I want to go into, and I think it would, again, I know I'm just repeating myself. It feels like over and over. I think it's foolish to think that the Carolina Panthers can wave this magic wand and all of a sudden be 7-8 wins. Now, could you pull out 7 or 8 wins in a kind of wild, wonky way? Certainly. There's everything, anything can happen. But a brand new head coach, another one. But this guy has never been a head coach, right? You are refashioning the entire roster. In fact, I wonder if there's a bigger refashioning to an offensive line that's happened to the Carolina Panthers in the last decade or more. What I'm saying is I can be optimistic without that necessarily meaning that the Carolina Panthers are that great when it comes to the win category. What I can hope for is that the Carolina Panthers look more like a competitive team each and every week. I can hope, CK, that I don't take a nap accidentally in the third quarter and wake up and not miss a single fucking thing.
Yeah, that's always going to be the hope. But here's what I would say, and this is my ultimate. What is Panther Pickle talking about here? He's going to say something dumb, isn't he?
He's just fucking around.
So, my thoughts are, I don't know. I'm a religious person, right? And one of the things that I believe about faith is faith does not mean that you have no doubts. So, and the reason I mean that, why that's important is, a faith without doubt isn't really faith. It's just belief for no reason. Faith is almost, being able to believe in what the future can be and what you're believing in, even though there isn't a lot of evidence to point to the fact that it's going to be what you want it to be, right? And that's how I think being a Panthers fan can be as well. You got to have faith in your team. It doesn't mean you can't doubt the moves that have happened, but to give up entirely would be absolutely, unreasonable. That's not what a fan would do either. That's having no faith in your team. And I choose to have faith, right? I'm not saying that it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but I'm telling you right this second, I would much rather believe and have faith that we're going to build in the right direction. And it just takes time. We have to have this go in the right direction. And it takes one move. You got to walk before you can run. I tell that to people who are in debt. I tell people that I'm collecting on. I said, one of the things that's hardest is you look at everything, and everybody in the chat probably knows what I'm talking about here. Tony, you may know what I'm talking about here. When you're thinking about your life being difficult, a lot of times it's not that it's one thing. It's that there's 1,000 things coming down on you at one time, right? And why that's important for you to realize is you've got to look at the next thing. You cannot look at the thousands of things you've got to figure out. You've got to figure out what is the next thing you have to do, because letting 1,000 things stop you from walking means you have failed right then and there. And that's what we've got to realize. This team is walking and it's not running.
How do you eat an elephant?
How do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
I don't know.
One bite at a time. Right? One bite at a time. To me, is another way I could see this looking at is like, look, if you go, and as people that are CK and I are both trying to continue as we get older, focus on getting a little healthier, right? I think too, when you do this is when you go to the gym and you diet and you make everything about losing weight, you're going to be disappointed a lot of times. right? Is like you're going to get on the scale, and instead of losing 8 pounds, you lost 1 pound. Sometimes you go up a pound even. But to me, it's not about if you set, and I tell my students this a lot. If you guys don't know, they call me the professor because I am a teacher. If you set your mind, and the only thing you care about is the grade, that becomes your God. It becomes your idol. And what I mean, I tell my students is that you're destined to be disappointed, right? And because if you don't hit that grade, you're an automatic failure in your mind. But for me, what I say is that you look at it, think of exercise, think of diet.
Yeah.
If you make it not about the weight, but about getting healthier, about, you know what I'm saying? Small, better decisions, 1% better each day.
Yeah.
That's what I think this is that, and that's what I mean about being optimistic about these moves, is not being optimistic about success coming in the near term, but just 1% better each day, 1% better, one bite at a time to eat this elephant, I think will be a good thing. And the problem is we want to, when you look at the internet, when you look at Twitter, when you see people say all the crappy shit, and I understand they have been jaded. They have been emotionally abused by the Carolina Panthers for the last 7 years or whatever. I feel like they're the ones that want to get on the scale and be down 30 pounds.
Right.
And sometimes you can just be down 3 pounds. And you got to be like, you know what? Keep going, keep doing those things. And it doesn't happen overnight. It is, again, you take away these problems one thing at a time. But what do we expect the Panthers to do? Or what do we do as fans? Do we just quit? Do we give up?
Well, with CK talking about faith, I've always heard faith described as believing in things that are unseen, right? Something can exist even though it's not actually in existence yet. And I feel like so much of that has really been at the center of the questions around the Carolina Panthers. How much faith do you have in the coaches, in the ownership? Not a whole lot of faith there, but in the players. And Tony, you mentioned Ike Ekwonu briefly. And, it's funny that we're talking about faith. People have been questioning how much faith the Carolina Panthers have in Ike Ekwonu being able to man that left tackle position. People think that one of our new signings, which is tackle Josh Nijman, I hope I'm saying that right, probably not. He is something
Ninja
of
Man.
a
contingency
plan, something of a contingency plan, playing left tackle and right tackle, where he has some experience.
He's 6'7".
Yeah, man, he's giant for somebody who's playing tackle.
Undrafted rookie out of Virginia Tech, made Green Bay practice squad. Look, is this kind of thing.
I wanted to pose it as a question. How much faith do we think the Carolina Panthers have in Ike Ekwonu being that full-time left tackle? I mean, you upgraded essentially both guard positions. You're going to have a brand new center at some point, somehow, some way. You just moved up to draft a franchise in Bryce Young. The guy that's supposed to protect your franchise quarterback is Ike Ekwonu. Do you think the Panthers have faith that he can be that guy for the future, or is this like a prove-it year for Ike?
I think they do. I think every year is a prove-it year for any player.
Especially when there's a change in regime.
Yeah, and especially when you've struggled over the last year, right? But coming out of Ike's rookie year, the idea was that he's trending in the right direction. And then after last year, we're ready to throw him out. Now, I think this is that for me, any of these moves right here is less of a referendum on their belief about these players and more that, hey, you have to have plans for when shit don't go right. And what happens if Ike gets hurt? What happens if he isn't doing well? What happens? You know what I'm saying? You can't just put everything on. It's like putting all your chips on a number in roulette. And it's like and that's what the Panthers did last year with that offensive line. they put all their chips on this offensive line working.
Yeah. And that these guys would be healthy.
Yeah.
Brady Christensen, Austin Corbett coming back and staying longer than he did.
That was a miss. Wasn't that and that was a risky bet too, CK, because both Brady Christensen and Austin Corbett coming off of injuries at the end of last season, and Austin Corbett wasn't even ready.
Yeah, no, he wasn't ready. It took him a while to get back on. So, I mean, there were a lot of question marks. I don't think that this signing is anything to concern Icky, to be quite honest with you. I think this is simply depth. He's played in a lot of games, but he started in very few of them, which tells me he's a rotational piece at a tackle position. I don't think this is any type of referendum on Icky Ekwonu. If anything, they're doing this to be able to provide him necessary reps off when, maybe our offense is going on a long drive or something along those lines. I think there's this tells me that they have a plan for this offensive line. And again, I just mentioned it. This is a one step at a time thing, right? We have been surface level at every position for the longest time. And what I mean is our offensive line, we had 5 starters, and then the people in the back were god awful, like horrendous.
And you were expected, CK, too. Not only were the people in the back, but you also kind of counted on a rookie coming in and Zavala contributing right off the bat. You had no idea how this guy was going to look on an NFL team. If you go back to the best Carolina Panthers offensive lines that we've ever seen, and the most recent being the 2015, think about that, 9 years ago, right? It wasn't that the guys were fucking good. They stayed healthy. The starters stayed healthy all season.
They were pretty good too.
No, they weren't. You had Michael Orr, who was a cast-off at that point, who was a resurgence. You want to say they're good? Go back and look at that Super Bowl and tell me.
Well, I mean, okay, but if you want to say maybe
is there was continuity each and every week. You put out those guys,
but
sure they
Ryan
weren't
Khalil, Trey Turner, and Andrew Norwell, they were pretty fucking.
Yes, there were those things. But here's the thing: is that all of that was good because all of those guys played all season long. And I'm not saying that last season would have been tremendously better if everybody was healthy, but it's one of those things that's injuries dictate so much of a team.
Yeah.
And what I think is that last year, and I go back and check the receipts on the C3 Panthers podcast of Tony telling you this, is the problem I have with all of the things that we're adding here is on the first layer, it feels good. Like, oh, on paper, this looks good until something goes wrong. What is it that they say is everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face?
Yeah, that's a famous Mike Tyson quote.
And that's where I feel like and that's why I'm not tremendously like going crazy. I think the plan is to put some big bodies up here, hope they can stay healthy, but also know that there's opportunities for injury. So you got to bring in some guys like this. I think that's why Brady Christensen being as a swing tackle and coming off an injury, trying to find his way. He could be a guy that could fill in for Moten or Icky if he gets hurt. The other thing is, I think the Panthers, similar to Bryce, are with Icky, or a very similar situation with Icky as they are with Bryce. And that is, we need to believe in them. And we need to find out. And this is year 3 for Icky, and this is when we find out.
Yeah, this is you can't give up on him after 2 years, right? Especially the first year. There was promise there, and clearly last year. And this is the thing I like about Canales is he's wanting to focus on playing to these guys' strengths, right? He wants these guys to be able, and we didn't do that last year. It felt as though Icky Ekwonu was just put into every uncomfortable situation you can ask him to be put into, which he should be, to be fair. But it just didn't seem like we were doing a lot to do anything to help him out, right? So I think that there's positives. There could be some positives with him this year. But here's my thoughts on this. I think when you look at what they did here, they had a board, right? And this is where I talk about the steps at one step at a time, right? They had a board and they said, what is the number one thing we need to focus on in free agency? And the number one thing you need to focus on in free agency is having veterans on the offensive line. In my opinion, you can't bring guys in here who don't have starting roles in the NFL. You can't bring guys in here who are habitual backups that are going to be the starting line on this team, right? You've got to get people in here that are veterans. And the offensive line, in my opinion, is the one position on our team that we needed to fill with veterans. We did that with the free agency, and that's going to allow us to focus on our on our holes in the draft. And the reason I think that's important is because you can see people come in here as wide receivers and have an immediate impact. You can see guys come in here as linebackers and have an incredible impact. You can see all these other positions, but one of the ones that I think is hardest is the offensive line. And so as of now, I think that was the primary goal. When you talk about bringing experience into this team, they executed, and I think they executed at a pretty high level, given the fact that we're a pretty poor team, last year, really the past decade. So to bring in guys like they did is impressive. I'm excited about the moves. We'll see how it goes from this point.
Well, not to mention that both of these guys, Damian Lewis, but even more Robert Hunt, even the bigger name and the bigger signing, they're 26 and 27. Right. Yeah. And so there is, not only do these guys add, like CK said, it's not their first day on the job, but they're not long in the tooth. And what the thing is when you add two guys like this, if they could be here for 3 years, 4 years, and that's a good thing. And then you can tool around that where you're not just like, oh, it's just piecemeal and get 1 year deal. To me, this was probably the wisest allocation of money that you could use.
Yeah, a little bit of depth. And I also think that it signals to Icky, hey, man, you better get your shit together. And
I think this team is going to be way better for him.
I'm going to be honest about my boy Icky. I do think that he regressed from 2022 to 23 in pass protection.
Didn't every single person on that team?
I know that. But okay, I don't want to do the thing where we just make all the excuses for him. I mean that there are real technical issues in how he pass protects at the end of his drop, especially when some of those pass rushers who are really good with the speed rush.
He was shook. Right, but he shook the whole season.
Right, but I have some doubts about his footwork and being able to play that position for the foreseeable future for the Panthers. The only reason I bring that up is because this is the time for Ike Ekwonu to prove that he is worth it. Because like CK was saying, he's an older player now. You go out and you get a bunch of veterans that are entrenched. They have a ton of
experience. Who's an older player?
And I'm saying the guards. Robert Hunt and Lewis. They're older players. Well, now Ike Ekwonu is a veteran too. And we're going to need to see him step up in
He's a third-year player.
You're a vet. You're not a rookie anymore.
When do you turn a vet? When do you turn a vet?
Hold on. This idea now that because he's in his third year, that now he gets all the, you can still say, oh, he's young. He still has a lot to learn.
He is young. He's had two different coaching staffs. And look, I'm not going to make excuse after excuse.
It's 3 years more than excuses are able to give you.
No,
he has to perform.
It's 2 years. Certainly. No, it's been 2 seasons. It's been 2 seasons. It hasn't been 3.
Right.
So we have 2 seasons of data. But look, listen to this. The first year of his rookie year, they started from day one. Right. And I mean, you're a top 10 pick. You expect people to start from day one. But everybody said there was going to be a learning curve for a tackle starting from day one. And they pointed to the week against Myles Garrett. But not only did that happen, you had a dysfunctional team all season to the point where you had coaches stabbing each other in the back. His offensive line coach may have been the snitch that was talking to David Tepper. You brought in. Who was the guy that the offensive coordinator we brought in that used to be the Giants coach? We actually did kind of, we had Baker.
McAdoo.
Yeah, I mean, all of this shit was fucked up. And then this following season, it got even more fucked up, right? And certainly, Icky played terrible. He got beat every which way. To me, the problem that really upset me is when he got bulldozed. It's not like he got beat fast left or he got beat on the second move. It really upset me when he just got ran the fuck over.
Right.
But
And
here,
him being a young player doesn't matter in those scenarios.
no,
Not
I
anymore.
understand. I'm not worried about that. What I'm telling you this is I think Dave Canales' scheme is going to benefit these guys. This is a scheme that is resemblant to a Mike Shula offense. You might not like it, but this is going to be, let's run up the gut. I know people hate that. That last year, that offense did not know what they were doing. They took 5 different schemes and they tried to mash them together. They tried to make like what is it where you have fusion food? They were like, we're going to have Italian, Japanese, and Indian food fused onto a plate.
Yeah.
And they 1 week. And so that base, I think this is going to benefit a lot of these guys in making it simpler. I think this.
Him and Bryce.
Yes, I think they're going to both benefit from this. I'm very excited about that.
I'm saying I'm not going to give it to them though. I'm saying I'm hopeful, but I need to see a lot more from both of those guys. And we have been through so much losing that I'm a part of that Panther fan base. That's like, dude, I'm tired of singing praises on these dudes when they haven't really earned shit. And Tony, I know you've even kind of had this similar mindset about JC Horn, right? When we all say, "Oh, when he's on the field,"
I'm gonna fucking vomit.
Right? Okay, so the way you feel about JC Horn is the way I feel about Icky. Everyone's like, "Oh, he'll be better because this game will be better." Well, no, I don't know that.
No, I just think it's reasonable to believe that this scheme will benefit him.
In true pass sets, last year, my man was terrible. And even though they're going to be running the ball more, there are going to be downs when you're going to have 3rd and long, and you're going to have to be able to hold up. Sure. And I need to see that from Icky. Before I have confidence in him to be able to play that position. Shout out to Anthony for the $4.99. Says, what did fans expect when you're rebuilding? We need to look forward towards the draft. That's where Dan will prove himself. The top guys were never coming to Carolina. And this is pretty much the truth, and I feel like everyone knows it.
The number's 252-228-5098. You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. Actually, the longest running Panthers podcast everywhere. Wherever you get, by the way, you get all your podcasts through the internet. But look, even the Carolina Panthers are less consistent. You want to talk about they're less consistent with their podcast. They're less consistent with their podcast than Icky was last year at left tackle. But guess who is consistent?
That's pretty damn inconsistent.
These guys right here are here every Tuesday night, but we're only here every Tuesday night, not because we make money, not because we have something better to say. We're not even football experts. We're expert football fans. The real reason we're here every week is because we got incredible insight from people in the chat, from people that engage with us on X, Facebook, wherever we're at. And in these calls, Cody, let's take some.
Let's do it. Number, you see it up on screen, 252-228-5098. Let your voice be heard in the cat call.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey y'all, it's Juan Conley from North Charleston, South Carolina. That's calling. I don't think Dan Morgan is trying to sabotage the Panthers. I think he knows what he's doing because you're looking at some of the key players that have, I'm thinking maybe another 3 to 5 years from them that can mentor these rookies that's coming into the draft and young players that we have and the young players that we got in the free agency to help build the team into what it can be maybe a wild card team or a top 4 seed team within the next 2 to 3 years. I know last year was not a good season, but this year will be a good season for us now because we got some more players coming in and some changes, switching players to other positions to play. And if Bird's gone, I know that's going to be hard to replace him, but I think we had a chance to make a statement here. Just show the NFL, it proved us here and wrong that the Panthers are never going to give up. We're going to keep pounding. That's right, keep pounding. I'll say right now, we'll at least get maybe 4 to 5 wins this year, maybe, or 6, okay? or more. Let's say I'm been a fan since the first season of the team. I'm not giving up on them. And so I'm thinking Dan Morgan doing a hell of a good job. He knows who to go after. If we don't get Mike Williams, oh well, we didn't. But there's always more players out there, like Moore, Dan Moore. He's a good player. He played for us a couple times, so why not? And we can go after some players we need on defense or offense with our first pick. Or we can use some somebody on defense we have right now to go move up to get somebody that we can know they can help the O-line or D-line dominate together. So Clowney's your free agent. If we can get him, we can pair him up right next to a couple of the linemen online. Or we can go after O.J. Becker Jr. I'm not going to say no, we need him. But if we do, that could be another mentor we can use to help the receiving core. Wherever we do, Dan Morgan doing a good job. I think this is the right hire by the owner because he knows a guy finally that can know defense. Because he was on defense that was a big, big threat to the quarterback and the running backs and the kicker stuff. So I'm thinking, just believe in what he's doing and we'll do good this year. If not, don't worry. We're doing better now. This year is going to be a top year for us. Much better than last year or year for that. Thank you. Keep pounding, Fat Nation.
Keep pounding, man. Great call, great optimism. And listen, CK, he lays out a lot of reasons why the Panthers fan base could and should be optimistic. And look, I know we tend to get down on ourselves. We've been such a bad team for so long. I feel like we tend to wallow in our misery a little bit. But there's reasons to be excited, man. And the NFL is one of those types of games, you know, the professional aspect of being a football player is one season you could be like the Texans having a top 2 pick, and the very next year you're competing for the playoffs. It's happened before, and even though no one expects that from the Panthers, you know, stranger things have happened, man. Even if we don't make it far, the Panthers could absolutely be a surprise team next year that, if anything, lets you know that they're at least building in the right direction, and that would be a victory for Panther fans. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, here's where I, you know, to wake up my dude, Muscles Marinara. We're gonna get motivational here. Okay. Whether you believe in God or you believe in science, there is one thing that remains true, and that is there are going to be highs, there are going to be lows. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That tells me we've been in a low spot for a long time. We are on the verge of being on the top of that mountain again. Can you feel it? Can you be excited about the fact that we will be on the top of that mountain? We will find our way to the promised land, and we will be the Carolina Panthers, the champions of the NFC South, the champions of the NFC, and eventually Super Bowl champions, baby.
Oh, let's go. Hey, it sounds like my man's saying we got some dogs on the Carolina Panthers, baby. I'm loving it.
I feel like you ruined everything by putting those eyes on him.
Dogs.
All right, let's go to Lou from Fort Myers.
You know what I'm saying? It's showtime, baby. It's Lou from Fort Myers.
What up, Lou?
It's 7 o'clock in the morning, bruh. And I just couldn't wait for it to be Tuesday to hit.
That's dedication, bro.
Oh, y'all, how y'all been? How's life? Bro, in Carolina, there's a new weather. Dan Morgan, hold on. Don't let me get too hyped now, because I ain't been this hyped since I couldn't even tell you, but damn, we cleaning house. Bro,
let's go.
I know this sounds crazy, and I have to give out a crazy take, bro. There's Stephon Gilmore in free agency. I know he's a little old.
I would do it.
Torn and
I
battered,
would still do it.
I feel like we
need
pick up
a lot
Gilmore,
in the secondary, dude.
I would do it,
and
Lou.
I feel like we could pick up Jadeveon, bro. Because, bro, and then there's still Xavier Howard and Mike Williams. Bro. Big old Mike. Like, come on, man. Oh, my gosh, bro. Any of those names we snag up, I'm going to be happy, bro. I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it. Man, I just want to just call and just say what's up, bro. We still got a whole day. By the time y'all view the show and everything, right? Man, like we're gonna probably pick up more people, trade more things. We are getting active. We are busy. Dan Morgan is yet to take his foot off the gas, dog. No breaks, bro. And I hope every single one of these players that he is bringing in are dogs, bro. Every single one of them, because they gotta be. That's what was promised. I want to see some rough, big, buff dudes. Pause. But some, bro. I want to see the dogs. Welcome to the dog town, bro. And we are not in Cleveland, but welcome, bro. Because boy, Dan Morgan is not playing. What? Dan Morgan is not playing. And I say shout out to Giro, because the Giro is the one that's really clearing out this defense. And Giro, I believe if Giro's just, hey, I want him. You better get it. You better get me. If not, here's my second option. Because boy, oh boy, Giro's clearing freaking bank right now. Oh my gosh, man. And I love how Tepper's not in the, we haven't heard nothing from Tepper in a while. But I just want to say shout out to everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Lou, from Fort Myer, calling in with an early call, guys, and he was right.
Lou is the man. Lou is always so excited for the C3 Panthers podcast. Every time he calls, we do it for fans like Lou, man. Shout out to Lou, brother.
Well, is in our 11th year as a podcast, haven't missed a week, have had to move shows from a day around, travel or something. Every now and then have to move it to a Wednesday or something. But arguably the most consistent podcast, it's not me, us versus everybody else. It's just this. I'm very proud.
C3 versus the world, baby. Get that fight in you, Tony.
I'm just very proud of what we've done because of this. Is that if I did this and there's two things I want to say, is that if I did this, to make money, I would have quit in year 2. Right. I mean, and the next thing is, if I would have done this with the idea of you listen to what I say, because I have to inform you of something, this would have ended a long time ago. The reason this podcast continues to grow, the reason I continue to have motivation each week is because I've always said this, hop in the car, we're heading to Main Street. We're riding to the game. This is a discussion of Panther fans talking about what we're going to see on the way to the game and bitching and moaning or celebrating on the way back together. Your opinions inform this show even more than I do. So you get in there, guys. The number's 252-228-5098. You get into that chat. You be a part of the C3 Legion. And you know what? Bro, this is paid off now. And what's paid off, and what I mean by that is, we've been laying a foundation, and now we got guys like Diesel Skills, Lou from Fort Myer, Anthony from Charlotte, Flame for Jesus, Rock Johnson, Sports One in there in the chat.
D from Sanford, Muscles Marinara, Panther Pickle. Bro, we have formed in a very short amount of time. We have formed over here at C3 something of a podcasting Avengers, our own cinematic universe of Panther fans, man. And we want all of you to let your opinion be known, man. That's why we do this. And Tony, Lou mentioned Mike Williams. That's been a guy who has been on the tip of everyone's tongue. Everybody has been wanting to get him to be that Mike Williams type of receiver in the Panthers offense, only for him to sign with the New York Jets. And shout out to Panther Pickle, man, because he literally predicted this on the free-for-all, that Mike Williams was not even going to make it to Carolina, that he was just going to sign with the Jets.
I think this is good news. I think this is good news for the Panthers. I think Mike Williams is a really good player when he's available, right? I think he would have made the Panthers instantly better on the offense. And I really like how hard he plays, his mental toughness going through so many injuries. But this is the type of player that the Carolina Panthers don't need. and hear me out, is that a player that he brings in that optimism, that excitement, that has a history of being hurt, and then if he does get an injury, it derails this immediacy that comes with trying to find success. And so, yeah, I mean, do you want to add better players? Certainly. But this is a player to me that comes with a certain of immediate return that comes with an immediate risk.
So
And
let me ask you this. What type of player do you think we need?
I'm a believer that we need a dog.
Dog. You need dogs. I think we need players like Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt. Players that are going to potentially add immediate strength, but also long-term gains.
Hey, CK, what would you classify Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis as?
As dog.
Yes, sir.
Gotta put an S.
We had the sync up.
He's a
we had
dog.
Oh, right. Oh shit! Do it again.
He's a dog.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. See, that's why. That's
why
why
do you guys? All right, how about this? Is you know who he kind of reminds me a little of? Sammy Watkins. Is like what Sammy Watkins would have been if you were added him.
Tony, do you remember when I first would call into the show in the cat calls line? That was the first guy that I was like, we have to sign Sammy Watkins. We gotta sign him. He would be perfect. And I still maintain that he
was always good when he played. He was always good when he played. But here's the thing is Sammy Watkins, because of his pedigree, always commanded a certain amount of money. Right? Which is fine. He always made teams better. But he also always made teams deal with the every single year of injuries. And for me, again, and to answer your question, CK, I want to add players who are going to make our team better in 2 and 3 years. Yeah. Not a player that's going to make us better for a year.
Sure.
And that's why I don't get latched on to a name like this.
Yeah.
Because really, for me, it's about. And I know someone said this in the chat earlier, which was a great comment. It's like, it's not like we have a great track history of building through the draft. But if you want to build a team that has real success, is you have to draft players like Mike Williams. You got to draft those guys. You can't pay those guys right now to make your team better. We are not in a mercenary stage right now.
We're not in a mercenary stage. And also, we are in a desperate need to build a culture. And to be quite honest with you, free agents don't build culture. It is the Lukes, it's the Thomas Davis, it's the Cam Newton, it's the people that have been here since day one, that loved playing for the Carolina Panthers, that have a history tied to the Queen City. I think that is what builds culture. The idea of being able to build a culture that's long lasting, that you can be proud of as a fan, coming through the free agency, especially on a team like this, is just nonsense. The reality is, even if we wanted to pay $15 million for Mike Williams, which, by the way, ridiculous number. He's already getting paid.
Ridiculous? Is it for 1 year? That's not tremendously crazy.
It's ridiculous because think about the needs outside of that, right?
Okay.
When you look at the fact that we have so many other holes that we need to fill, and let's be real about it, wide receiver is going to be a priority early in the draft for us. At one of those 2 second-round picks, I don't think that there's a question about it in my mind. Some people might be believing that it's going to be a center and that linebacker, right? But I believe it's going to be a wide receiver, maybe linebacker, maybe center. I don't know. But my belief is Mike Williams, like you said, there's a lot of risk involved there. And we've already agreed. Why would you sign a guy to a 1-year deal with the hope that we're going to be able, like, what is it going to do for us? Right? There's no benefit. We're not going to be a winning team this year. Mike Williams isn't putting us over the top. Like, let's be real.
The only argument would be is to give Bryce a opportunity to succeed in a way that gives us real hope going forward. I just don't know if even Mike Williams is that dude necessarily. I mean,
Right.
I've always liked him as a player. He
would have
is
been
hurt.
great for us. I mean, Bryce needs a fuck it. He's down there somewhere type of receiver, and that's what Mike Williams would have been. And I think that's also why a lot of people still would like us to look into trading for a T. Higgins type as well.
No, we can't. We can't logically. You can't justify giving up more draft capital.
I agree. I'm just saying the type
short term.
The type of receiver is more what I'm saying rather than specifically Higgins. But it would also be a great receiver for us too.
And Mike Williams took a $5 million pay cut a year. He's also an aging, injury-prone wide receiver.
And do you really take a pay cut when you get cut and you get your guaranteed money?
You're getting guaranteed money.
Right. I don't know if you can
exactly.
consider it as like I'm taking a pay cut because you're still getting your guaranteed money and then you're adding more guaranteed money on top. I understand it's a dollar year for year pay cut, but no one his stock isn't higher right now in that contract. Lou brought up, while Mike Williams is off the table, Jadeveon Clowney's still out there. Now, a lot of we know that my bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso, has been pounding the table for Clowney even last year. Now, a lot of people are going, oh, gosh, we haven't gotten Clowney. He's going to let him walk out the door. Clowney's a player, though, that makes his decision. I feel like he kind of reminds me
his damn time. He doesn't show up.
He avoids the work.
He's like Ndamukong Suh now.
That's exactly what I was going to say is Ndamukong Suh. I'll just wait until I feel like who I want to pick. And when the number's right, I don't think Clowney is off the table necessarily. But again, he's not going to necessarily want to sign with the Carolina Panthers. A lot of these teams are looking at the Jets going, man, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. And these guys are about to go after it. That's what they're saying. And they should be saying that. Aaron Rodgers was trying to come back last year.
Well, we'll see if he's going to be running for vice president. He might not really have a lot of time. Even if he got nominated to be the vice president of Libertarian candidacy, like, come on, it's the Libertarian Party. It's all of what we're all going to do. It's what we're going to do in November as voters when you don't want to vote for Biden and you don't want to vote for Trump. You just vote Libertarian. And that's going to be like 5% of America. Dude, if you look at I know this is not politics, but if you look at the polls, dude, it's not as cut and dry as that anymore. This is a much different election.
There's
more people, and then we'll move on. More people identify as third party now in America than at any time in its history.
What about did you guys see
Aaron Rodgers 2024, baby? Let's go.
What about Antonio Brown now being a fucking Donald Trump
I'd vote for him.
It's like so Joe Biden blocked Antonio Brown and now Antonio.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know this?
Oh, see, he's making the wrong enemies, man. Like,
dude, Antonio Brown stock has just climbed over the last 3 weeks with this CTESPN, the group he started. But Antonio Brown now is stumping for Donald Trump, and he's making AI videos of Donald Trump saying Antonio would be a great VP candidate. Antonio Brown is killing the troll internet thing. He is fucking slaying it right now. But Antonio Brown got blocked by Biden, and one of Antonio Brown's tweets was blocked by Biden because last week he was big on it was steak and blowjob day. And he was like, got more ahead, like stocks, right? He's like, I've had the best week I've ever had. Anyway, he brought up Clowney.
I just know that he's hilarious.
He is leaning into the CTE thing is fucking incredible.
Yeah. He posted
like,
one
today. You can't get mad at me. I got CTE, motherfucker.
He posted one today. They said, the Jordan meme, and he's like, I don't took that personally. And there's one who's like, they told me I had CTE, so I started a network. And by the way, he's real too. He messaged Adam Schefter, and he was like, yo, I'm the first one that broke that news. Why didn't you cite CTESPN? Like, it's a real thing. He's like running
out of control right now, and I love it. And I was so over Antonio Brown a year ago. Like I was like, it was too much for me. He was doing crazy shit, like jerking off in the pool in Dubai. And now, instead of trying to act normal, he's just like, you know what? That's what I do, motherfucker. And now I'm all in. I'm all in on CTE Antonio Brown and this Shannon Sharp. Have you seen him, the feud that he's got with Shannon Sharp?
No.
Where are you at? Where are you at, Cody, on the internet? You're supposed to be our young dude.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw all the shit that you talked about.
Did you see where this
him and Shannon
motherfucker?
Sharp? He's been making fun of him. He gets out of like a vehicle, Shannon Sharp, at like a store for like a signing or something.
Yeah, looks like
Shannon
Barney.
Sharp gets and like
purse.
I know he's been like dragging him about that one video.
Did you see the video where he was hanging out with these guys and he said that he got done with a boxing match and he said, and he meant that boxing match being taken back. This guy said this is, what did he say? He called him Shay Shay. He said that dude. He said just call him Shay Shay, and I'm not going to make homosexual jokes, but he did.
That is what he calls himself. That's Club Shay Shay.
Who
Club
does?
Shay Shay. That's the name of his podcast. Is Club Shay Shay.
Oh gosh, and he is flaming these dudes like nonstop. He is. He said Shannon Sharp got his back beat in. Yeah, I mean, like, dude, he is fucking on a tear, man. He might be on the biggest heater. He is. I hated him a year ago, and now I'm like Team AB.
But to bring it back around full circle, what y'all make of Stephon Gilmore? Is it too long in the tooth now, or would you like to have Stephon Gilmore back in a meaningful way?
Again, it's another one of these things where you add him just for the piece of for maybe a 1-year deal, and we're not better in the long run for having him. Like, I mean, you might be able to fill a piece until next year's draft where you can replace him in the draft, but I really don't know what. Like Tony had said, we need to add pieces that are meant to make us better in 2 years, not make us better this year. Yeah. This year isn't really the priority.
There is one problem though when it comes to the secondaries. We don't know how what corners we're gonna have.
And I also
you have think of this: Dante Jackson gone, J.C. Horn unreliably hurt or reliably hurt every year. But even the most hated man in Panther Nation since, I guess, like Matt Khalil is that C.J. Henderson. You know, he's gone. Like, who are the corners, basically? That's the real question is, you guys keep saying, oh, who is and where are the Panther pessimist fans at who keep saying, like, where the fuck is this defense and no defensive line? How about this? Who the fuck who's playing corner? Who?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's why I would also love if Nate Wiggins, the corner from Clemson, fell in the draft a little bit. To me, regardless of position, he'd be the best player available, and I'd love to add him to the line. And by the way, I would like to clarify, CK is officially the youngest person on this podcast. So technically you should have,
Wow.
I just have these boyish good looks. So
Somebody said that, look, Sideshow said Cat Williams blew up Shay Shay's podcast. Shay Shay said he made more money off of that podcast than he did in a single year in the NFL. It's just fucking bananas. But he also played in the NFL like 25 years ago.
I mean, it got to like $30 million. 30 million views in a day. So it was like pretty.
All right, let's go to Chase. What do you got?
But no, I was going to say, let's just throw in this last bit of news. No Mike Williams, but an iron that is potentially still in the fire is Tyler Boyd from the Cincinnati Bengals. Has been a big time part of their offense. Maybe this would be a good pickup for the Panthers.
I always liked this guy.
I do too. I think it would be a good addition.
And they say he's making his decision after Mike Williams signs Our team's really interested him as much as Mike Williams. Probably not. Probably more should be more, given the fact that he, I think, is more reliable, at least, or more
health-wise,
available. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would be a good, again, another depth piece in my mind. My concern is we're chasing after a lot of receivers' names that, let's be real about it, they've been a number 2 wide receiver behind major names in the NFL. And I just don't know.
Number 3, actually.
Right. This is number 3. I mean, T. Higgins was behind, obviously, Jamar Chase. You have Mike Williams, who is behind Keenan Allen. And I don't think anybody here would argue that Keenan Allen is the better wide receiver there. Right.
No, I think what they would say is that Mike Williams played better with the Chargers than they expected.
Right. Well, but my point being is I'm tired of this. I shouldn't say tired, right? The idea that we should sign a lot of these number 2 wide receivers to number 1 wide receiver money for us to be having them be the go-to. At this point in time, I don't really know that many of them have proven that they can be the guy that everybody focuses on and still produce to that level. They've always had the benefit of being the number 2 wide receiver going up against the number 2 cornerback, right? So that's my position is we haven't really seen these guys play consistently when the other person on the team isn't playing at a high level too.
You guys are listening to the longest running Panthers podcast, the C3 Panthers podcast. We're live every Tuesday night, but we're here because you guys are calling in on the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. Stick around, guys. We still have to. We got a reporter, a Charlotte, or I don't even know who this reporter is. We're going to try to figure it out. The chat will help us. A reporter that doesn't know gets the first question on the welcome press conference for Damian Lewis and doesn't even know what side of the football he plays for. Should C3 get media passes? Should we just, you know what? We should get a lot more credit. We should get
of course, I don't want everyone to know right where I live, but I live right by the stadium, dude. Like, we need to figure out a way to make
it's a virtual press conference. Get us in here. We've been doing this virtual game before y'all mugs were. I'm telling you, now we watch all these reporters like, is my mic on? It's like when you remember those Zoom calls during the pandemic where that guy he was like had a deposition and he had the cat face on. His like kid had used his Zoom the day before and he had a filter on and he was like in a real federal court deposition and he had a cat. He's like, I don't know how to get it off. Come on, guys. We've been doing this internet game before StreamYard and shit was like this around. When I had to piece it together using fucking duct tape, YouTube, and Google Hangouts actually is where we went to.
Yeah, dude, I do not miss Google Hangouts. I do not.
What was that other one you said that we were? I can't remember that one.
Shindig. It had so much potential.
That's when that was like the first.
It would have been. It was StreamYard before StreamYard. It just never. It didn't work every week. Like one week it would work.
That's when CK and the Bat Daddy really joined the show. They would come in.
Shindig could have done it. They could have been awesome. I guess if they would have just been they were almost 2 years early to the party. They get the pandemic boom. That shit was crazy and awesome. Like it would have been, it was great until it wasn't, which it was like every other week.
But our brand ambassador was right. The national media is dead. The C3 Panthers podcast, bro. This is where people come to get their Panthers news and opinions, man.
That'd be silly if they didn't. Let's take another call here. Let's go to Chase from Anderson.
What's up, guys? It's Chase from Anderson. What's up, fellas?
What up, Chase?
Free agency moves done by Canales and Company so far. Man, solid. Real solid. A lot more uptick trajectory or moves than I would really expect. And I think a lot of us expected. So A+ for that. I'm excited about this upcoming season or the next season, whatever you want to label it. Because just the simple fact that not knowing what it's going to look like to me is exciting. It to be really hard to be worse than it was this past season. So,
I agree.
I want to give a shout out to Cody for recommending the show Shogun. Man, that is a good show,
It's
man.
good, but you overrated it, bro. Like crazy.
Shut up.
Also, I like to say thank
Appreciate
God
it.
the Saints signed Chase Young and not the Panthers,
Oh,
man. 'Cause
perfect. Let's talk about
how is this guy not labeled a bust? Won at the top of the draft in 2020 and hasn't done a damn thing. 16 sacks in his entire career. 16.
And they
He's
were
a
all
bust.
in year one.
He's not a dog.
Yeah. That dude
He
sucks.
is. He just got to be put down. Oh, man. How about
Appreciate
this?
you, Chase.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you
you,
for the
Chase.
call. So many people wanted. Look, we're all out there going. We got to add. Particularly fighting against the people that are saying, "Look, Brian Burns. We lost Brian Burns. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And then there a perfect 1 year warrior or a potential mercenary you could bring in who's kind of needing to prove it, who suffered a tremendous injury. I think his second year, Chase Young, or at the end of his first year. He signed today with the Saints, which all of a sudden you look at that news and you go, oh, crap, that sucks. Going to the division rival. We didn't get him. 1 year, $13 million, way cheaper than 1 year, 15 for Mike Williams. But then and I hate to be like this when someone's hurt, but did you have a little happiness? He signs the deal, and then like 15 minutes later, it comes out he's having neck surgery.
Well, he also comes in and says, the Saints, they just have a winning culture. Like, maybe fucking 4 years ago. But it's like, come on, their culture. I don't think they have any culture, especially after Sean Payton and Drew Brees left that team. Dude, to me, just the NFC South is, as I call it, just a bunch of who's my fuckers. Like, it's a bunch of, who knows, any given Sunday type of football teams. There's no clear, number one in this division. I don't think anyone can lay claim. I mean, maybe Tampa, they've won it a couple of years in a row.
I think Atlanta is the front runner.
I would still put
right team.
I would still put Tampa right now ahead of
I don't think so. Okay.
Y'all overrate Atlanta. Atlanta's the new Tampa. You know how you were saying Tampa every offseason, they get hyped up about, they're going to be this, and that. Dude, that's the Falcons now. Every year they hype up the Falcons and they're never shit.
And they're potentially about to lose some draft capital. Some people say it's a first. I don't think we're anywhere close to them being a potential first. But there's with this whole tampering thing with Kirk Cousins.
Well, didn't the Dolphins lose a first?
They lost a first, but theirs was in the midst of other really crazy allegations. Remember, that was the whole Flores thing where he was accusing him of trying to tank and
they paid him. I think
what was the other team? What was the other team that they say might lose first?
The Eagles. No. The Eagles. We're talking to Saquon.
Yeah, it was Saquon. Yep. And then Saquon.
Cousins admitted it.
Well, Cousins
in a press conference.
Yeah. Well,
he
Saquon
said, I spoke with he did too.
Well, Saquon did, but he said something that led them to the conclusion that maybe he had spoken with somebody, because he was talking about how they told me that, Penn State fans are also Philadelphia Eagles fans. So
they're from fucking the same state.
Right. Now the Kirk Cousins one is like he was talking like he
the
did
physical trainer.
Yeah.
And he's coming off an injury.
Yeah, he's
good. They need to lose their first round pick.
No, this is perfect. I say let the Falcons win for the next 2 years and lose that long-term strength because of that. Yeah. And then the Panthers slide in there and fucking dominate for 5 years.
Could you imagine Kirk Cousins coming in his first act as their starting quarterback is to lose them a first round
dude,
draft?
That's what I'm saying. The dude's a jinx. He's a jinx, and the Falcons are a jinx, and they're perfect.
He's the Drake of contracts.
If you don't stop with this fucking contract bullshit, dude. And how about this? Chase Young.
Look, if he said the Falcons deleted Cousins' first press or anything.
Dude,
that's almost like an admission of guilt there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They shouldn't have been playing dirty.
Chase Young does not do anything to scare me. However,
he doesn't.
It is going to be bad if Kwanu doesn't look good against him this year, though. So
I'm happy though. Look, for me, this is one of those things where I'm glad that we didn't get what the fans needed for the hit. Like it's like you're coming off of heroin or something, and you just need something, need a fix. We would have gotten that fix, and then you gotten that news that he's fucking getting neck surgery. You know how fucking incredibly terrible that was? And then I also read that other teams didn't know about it, that he was out there plying his wares, and other teams didn't know he's dealing with this injury, and that somehow the Saints either are doing a PR recovery or they didn't know. Or they did know and they're comfortable with it. But imagine signing him and feeling for 8 seconds that you're like, oh, we're going to try to do something, and then go, fuck, he's not going to play. Because this is one of those things that this is like anytime you go under the knife, they're like, oh, it's going to be 6 weeks. Unless you're Adrian Peterson, it's going to be 8.
Right.
So,
real quick, I just wanted to shout out Illinois Jones. I love fans like this when they say, I'm a Bears fan, but the Panthers are my second team, and this is by far my favorite podcast. So
wow.
Illinois Jones, we appreciate you, man. See, that's what we want to do.
Are you South Side or North Side? I'm a Cubs fan here. Got a crazy, funny story about why I'm a Cubs fan, but means a lot.
By the way, that's the goal. We just want people to feel like they can come hang out and be a football fan here. Like that's the whole point. So we appreciate y'all for hanging out with us and spending time with us on your Tuesdays or Friday nights.
Man, that is one of those comments that makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Oh, for sure, man. Shout out Illinois Jones.
Illinois, tell us, Cubs or Sox? Let me know. Let's take another.
And Shogun is awesome.
It is good, but it is.
I shouldn't have said that.
It is good. Oh, why? Because you're worried I'm going to talk about it for a half hour?
Yeah, we're going to.
9 minutes ago.
Really good.
Wait, what?
9 minutes news that happened 9 minutes ago.
What?
That new linebacker decided to go back to Denver.
The Strand guy?
Yeah.
Oh, who cares?
It was reported by Joe Person.
I guess it's a good thing we didn't even. I guess we didn't even report on it.
I know.
Yeah. We didn't even say his name anyway.
Oh,
you're gonna fuck his name up for the next year anyway. Strand.
Yeah,
by the way, Illinois Jones says South Side. He prays at the rat
good
hole.
for him. That's cool. That's cool. The reason here, I will tell you, since you're here and listening, the reason, and this is a wild story, and bear with me, guys. Not wild. It's a meaningful story to me. First, I'm a slightly Italian American, right? I'm born in Winterville, North Carolina. But look, my mother was the last of her. My grandfather got a job in Kinston, North Carolina in the late 70s. He went from Long Island, New York to Kinston, North Carolina, right? To working for this place called, it was Joy Manufacturing. So my grandma Ann Pancini, she said she cried every day for the first 2 years because she lived in Kinston, North Carolina. And I don't blame her. But my real father split on my mother and I when I was a little baby like this. Right. So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents and I was real tight with my namesake, Anthony Joseph Pancini. I'm Anthony Joseph. And we used to hang out all the time and watch baseball, just like popcorn. That's what I remember. It's like just eating popcorn, sitting on the floor, watching the Cubs play. And as a little kid, I became a Cubs fan. And then we hit this cool era too with the Cubs, where it was like Ryan Sandberg, Mark Gray, Sean Dunston, Andre Dawson. All these so big time for me. It was a meaningful time in my life. So my grandfather passed away when I was 19 from cancer. And I was starting to, I even put a Cubs hat in his casket because it just meant a lot to us. Spent a lot of time watching the Cubs together. But as I grew older, he actually gave me a baseball from a baseball game. He got a Yogi Berra baseball game at a Yankees game signed. I've got it in this here. And as I got older, I started to reflect. And this is after he died. And I was like, holy shit. This guy wasn't a Cubs fan, probably. He was just a Yankee living in the South who liked baseball. And the only fucking team on was the Cubs at WGN. So I'm a Cubs fan because I thought my grandfather was for a long time. And likely he was just a baseball fan. But it means a lot to me still for that. WGN, those times, if you're a Braves fan a lot because you watch TBS, stuff like that, back in the day, it was just it was meaningful to me. And the first 4 pages in my baseball card book where you used to collect cards in the 80s and the 90s are worthless. They're all Ryan Sandberg, Mark Grace cards. Let's go to Anthony from Charlotte. You guys cool with that?
Yeah, is this a second call?
No, yeah, I skipped this first.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. I called in earlier, but you don't have to play that call now. Mike Williams signed with the New York Jets, 1-year contract up to $15 million. Yeah. It's okay, man. Listen, Dan's been very smart with the money this offseason. I think he's had a good free agency class. Like, I definitely think he's had a great free agency class, one of the better ones for sure we've had in the past 5 years here. At this point, we got to look towards the draft. This is where all my concerns really are with Dan Morgan. If he can hit on some of these picks and some of these rookies can start next year, and when I mean start, they better start because we're a rebuilding team and we need to see what these young players have, then I will be very satisfied with this offseason. Obviously, that's a ways to go. The season doesn't start for months on months. But, like, still got fans out here saying, oh, let's go get Michael Gallup, Tyler Boyd. Those guys are trash compared to what compared to what Mike Williams can give you when he's healthy. That's why I thought Mike Williams would be good for us because we need that big body X receiver. And there's probably going to be fans over the next couple of days that are saying, let's go get Odell Beckham for a year. Let me tell you something about Odell Beckham. He is literally living off his name at this point in his career. Okay. Last year, I don't know why the Ravens did this because he was okay this past season. Like, he's pretty much like a little above average receiver at this point in his career. He got paid $18 million last season. Do you think Dan Morgan's going to do that for these contracts? No. So just go into the draft and draft some guys, some receivers, a center, this and that. And then this is the last thing I'll say. If Dan was to try to go make a receiver move in free agency still, you would rather him go after a guy that's already proven that's a little younger than Mike Williams. Hence, this is why, and I know fans are going to be like, I don't care about this player anymore. But this is why I've loved T. Higgins as an option for us for months now, is because he is 25, and you're gonna have to pay the young receiver if he's good anyways in the future, assuming we're still under this bullshit logic that we're just not gonna pay any of these players, which is dumb. No, we have to pay these players. So you're gonna pay out a young wide receiver that's good anyways. If you draft a Donnie Mitchell at 33, you're gonna have to pay him later in his career anyways. So there's really no difference. You're just sucking up the money now. But we're gonna have tons of cap space next year. At this point, the only thing I want to see Dan do is get a deal done with Derek Brown. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
Keep pounding.
You know what Anthony is, CK?
What do you say?
Do you know what Anthony is?
I do.
He's
a bona fide dog.
Thank you for calling in, Anthony. We love you.
Yes, sir. I mean, listen, I brought up T. Higgins earlier, and everybody was like, "Oh, too expensive." Listen, I get it, and it's also the point that I was making earlier that like we're just not in that class of free agent yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would love it if they did it, but I just don't think that's going to be who the Panthers are going to go out and get. However, if they did, like, Tony, I'm not going to be one of these people that bitches about paying T. Higgins if we did go out and get him. Because I'm of the mindset that, like, even if Bryce doesn't work out, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You need a top flight number one wide receiver option. And the fact that you got rid of DJ Moore, now you have to replenish one. Instead of waiting for one to develop through the draft, I wouldn't mind if they went out and got a bona fide starter like T. Higgins, even though it might cost a little more. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't complain about it at all if it happened.
Right now, the line is open. Here is the last call in the hole. So if you call in at 252-228-5098, you're queued up. You're on deck right now. We'll take this call, and then we got to talk about this reporter. We got to figure this out, guys. This is so funny to me. And the Damian Lewis virtual press conference. The number is 252-228-5098.
C3 Paisans, how you doing? Shout out to the rest of the C3 Mafia, all you boys and girls out there. So, I missed last week. Sorry about that. Had other things to attend to. But, so far, the moves are pretty good, those two guards. Two big sons of bitches, I'll give them that. So hopefully it gives Bryce a little bit of help there. That linebacker, Jewelry or some shit. Yeah, all right, fine. He played an Evero system. There was another guy who played Evero system. That's cool. I guess they're building it in a good way. They brought in that fellow from Pittsburgh who, when I seen some funny highlights, I kind of laughed because he kind of gave up on some plays. But there's that. And a minute ago, I seen we got David Moore back. So, I mean, okay. I guess that's a camp body. But, the moves are all right. Could be better, could be worse. I know everybody wants the big splashy guys, Higgins, all that shit. I think we dodged a bullet with Mike Williams from the Chargers there. All right, the Jets could have him for $15 million for fucking 3.5 games. That's cool. But that's about it, boys. I guess we're just gonna wait and see for more bullshit to come and kind of wait for the draft and all that other bullshit. So, all right, boys, you have a good show. I gotta go.
Hi, Zon, man. Great to hear from you. Cody, did we put a poll up earlier? Is Dan Morgan the destroyer or the restorer? Did we get results on that poll yet? We'd love to hear from you guys.
Boy, did we? With over 166 votes, a whopping 90% said that Dan Morgan is restoring the Panthers as opposed to destroying them. So we have a lot of optimism about these free agent moves amongst the fan base, Tony.
We got it was Illinois. What was it? Illinois Jones who said, look at that, Peps. Hey, how can you hate a beer that got best beer in 1893? America's best beer. They got one ribbon and said that's what we're gonna call it, the blue ribbon. PBR, the old school boat beer. The old school cheap beer, Milwaukee finest, in my opinion. Cody, can we pull up this clip? Damian Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Damian Lewis has a press conference. I popped up and shout out to, want to give props to Charlotte Vibe. This is who I pulled it off of his channel. So he either live stream or uploaded the virtual press conference that he was a part of. Shout out to Charlotte Vibe, the first and OG independent media in Charlotte, still rolling, rocking and rolling, doing his thing. Always dapper Dan. I love Charlotte Vibe. What he does is he always is wearing dressed to the nines all the way when he takes his work very seriously. Love him. Always been a long friend of the show. Today, or I saw this today, and this is wild. This is the very first. So they open it up, the very first question, and whoever is running the media for the Panthers says they're using Zoom clearly because they have the raise hand function, and they say raise hand and we'll get you in there. And so Cody, this is the first question, and let's see how it goes.
Starts off.
Greetings. Welcome to Charlotte. I was wondering about the opportunity to work with Evano. Did that entice you to come sign with the Panthers?
Say that again, so your phone breaking up bad.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, I think your connection's a little tough.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm on the road right now.
Oh,
I just pulled over. Yeah, sorry, yeah, my apologies. The opportunity to work with Everno, did that entice you to come sign with the Panthers?
One more time, sir. I'm sorry. It's jumping real bad from my end.
Hey, Jeff. Damian we signed him as an offensive guard. He's not on the defensive line. He's not.
Right. No, I'm sorry. That was a wrong question. Yeah, please go on. I'm in a bad spot. Sorry.
Okay,
All
go
of
ahead, Jeff.
this.
No, the back. And
Go ahead,
this
Jeff.
is
You can
the,
start us
all
off.
right. So this is where it's great. Is sometimes you gotta, folks, being too honest can bite you. It's like I'm on the road. I'm pulling over. Right? It's like you first of all gave it away. You know, you should have said like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I hope it clears up." Second, he goes in and then he repeats the question. The Panthers media guy goes, "Dude, he plays offense, not defense."
He also gets the defensive coordinator's name wrong.
And he said, "Oh yeah, Abernall." He called him
Everno.
It's like Abernathy or something, isn't it, man? But then, so that you're right, is all of this is fucked. Then he goes, "I'm in a bad spot, bro." It's like I'm going through a divorce.
I know that's
I felt like he was about to spill the beans about his life.
Go through a therapy session
It's like,
there.
I'm sorry, man. I'm in a terrible spot. Like, dude, just shut the fuck up at this point.
But
Shut
it
up.
does go to your point. They need to get us boys answering the questions. Like literally, you don't know that the offensive guard that we signed isn't gonna be playing for the defensive coach. Like, dude,
And that his name isn't Everall.
Yeah,
Everno is what it is.
The name's wrong,
Abernathy?
dude. Think about the types of questions that we would be able to ask. We would ask them the shit that they want to know.
Yeah.
That fans want to know.
I promise you. That shit, I'm going through a bad spot. We need to make a soundbite out of that. I'm going through a bad spot.
That's
what was the name?
We're always going through a bad spot.
Like, I don't know why this dude didn't have his first question be like, "Why are you such a dong?"
Exactly. I'm in a bad spot. My wife, I just found her in bed with another man. I'm on the road. I travel all the time. God, I'm stuck in I'm pulling over. You know, you're not supposed to. I'm sure. Why didn't other people shame him? I wish Damian Lewis would have shamed him and like, you shouldn't be doing press conferences while you're driving. That's unsafe. Man, this shit it just got worse and worse and worse to me. It was like the connection part was already bad. What you should say is like, I'm going through a lot, bro. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. How's your life doing?
I'm going through a rough spot.
Yeah, look,
you're right, Josh. We have to make that. I'm sorry. I'm going through a lot right now. I work for a newspaper. It's probably going out of business. Fucking my interest rates just went up. My tax amount on my house doubled over this past year.
We need to soundbite like things like we need to soundbite that when we're watching the press conference of like Dave Canales when we lose. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm going through a lot.
He's like, well, we could have done better. I'm sorry, I'm going through a rough spot right now.
Oh God,
we need to do another segment called "I'll Die on This Hill," because Tony, I found another hill that I think I'm willing to die on,
What's
baby,
that?
and it might not come to fruition. But I'll be damned if it isn't the perfect move for us. We've been talking about pass rushers and how we were bringing in guys, and maybe we'll sign Jadeveon Clowney and Chase Young goes somewhere else. I mean, we signed Caleb Chase on. All right. But, dude, we need a legitimate pass rusher. And I'm talking a legitimate pass rusher. It's time to bring Hassan Reddick back to the Carolina Panthers. The Eagles are moving Hassan Reddick's $1 million roster bonus, originally due March 15th, to April 1st. This, in theory, buys Philly time for a potential trade before having to pay the man. Listen, man, I think that Hassan Reddick was the best pass rusher that the Carolina Panthers have had on their team in the past 5 years, Tony Dunn. He was better than Brian Burns from a numbers perspective on 3 different teams.
He was
the
better than
Cardinals,
him, not
the
just
Panthers, and the Eagles. Listen, that is baby Von Miller. Hassan Reddick was an incredible player. I want to bring him back to Carolina. We should have never let him leave the first time. Tony, this is the hill that I'm dying on. Bring Hassan Reddick home.
Why do you want to bring him home, Cody?
Dare I say he's a
dog?
Say it one more time. Let everybody know how much of a
dare I say he's a
dog.
Poor Hassan Reddick is a dog that nobody wants to own. I feel terrible for this guy.
Weird to me. Like
It's
this dude is
bizarre.
a game wrecker. Like he is a game wrecker. Like we've seen it when he went to the Eagles, man. He was making plays.
He had 18
constantly.
sacks or something that year.
Dude, the past
18
3
sacks.
years in a row. No, like the past 4 years in a row, he's had plus 10 sacks. Like, dude, if that's not your primary pass rusher, I don't know what is.
He's
We know
perfect
that
for
he's-
3-4 too.
Yes,
because you just sending
perfect.
him. Just send him. Just send him. Send him every time. You know, that's
Yes.
what his role is. I feel bad for my man. Is this dude, first of all, the Carolina Panthers didn't want to pay him. He did get money by going to Philadelphia.
He got paid.
He did get paid. He fucking balled out.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't understand it.
And he's still been like a scratch from Pro Bowls, right? Even that first year when he was in the Eagles, he didn't make
Fucking
it.
Brian Burns made it over him that year.
Reddick. And dude,
they
I
had
was
better-
on
he had
that even then. That
More
was such a
tackles, more sacks, more everything.
such a fraudulent dude. He got robbed of the Pro Bowl that year.
And I'm tired
and
of
the
this
fact
Pro
that-
Bowl shit. Did you see White Chocolate said this about that year that Brian Burns made the Pro Bowl that the Tyler Huntley or guy made it to?
Oh yeah, the quarterback.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
Who
dude,
was
the
a
fact
back?
that-
He was played for the Browns for a minute, and now he's a backup for. Like, so it shows you like when everybody hangs their hat on two-time Pro Bowler. I don't get this though. Look, I would love to have Hassan Reddick back here, but I don't want him here because look, is we can't afford to pay him what he's worth.
Oh bullshit. We
Okay.
can pay him a decent contract.
He deserves big money,
he's gonna
bro.
be
He
on his
deserves
fourth
Brian Burns
contract
money.
now.
Fuck
yeah, but I
up.
don't think he's getting Burns money. Like they're not. Hassan Reddick is not about to reset the market.
He
right
should.
now. Like,
How about
I
this?
know
I would rather give Hassan Reddick $150 million than I would Brian Burns.
1,000% agree. 1,000%.
You know what makes this worth?
It also shows that the Pro Bowl, it's just a popularity contest, man. Like the fact that Burns got in that year over Hassan Reddick, like that's embarrassing to me.
You know what makes this worse? When you say that you're like, oh, bullshit. The Falcons have been adding, bro. They got my boy Rondell Moore now out there. Little fucking crazy man going all over. He could be a punt returner. He's a crazy wide receiver. He's like a little miniature Steve Smith. He's even small. But look, the Falcons, guess what? They're in the running they've been linked to Hassan Reddick more so than anybody.
Of course, right? The moment that I say how bad we need to bring him home, and the Falcons are linked to him. But see, this is what I'm talking about, man.
What are they going to trade? Their first round?
Yeah, I mean, dude.
Yeah.
I would
like
prefer.
the fucking Philadelphia Eagles getting nothing.
Dude, I'm just saying. I mean, chat. Y'all tell me, how much do you think Hassan Reddick signed for? Like, you wouldn't sign him to a
I don't know. Let me pull over.
2 or 3 year deal. You know, on a short term contract. Let him come here. Let him be the centerpiece of your defense. You signed Ashawn Robinson. You have Derek Brown. You have
be
EJ
awesome.
Wanham. Yeah.
So I asked my friend this, and he has, and I love because he's even more into sport. I mean, he runs a sports show, a daily sports show on the radio, and he's one of my best friends. He's a Commanders fan, and I asked him this. I said to him, and I brought this up on the show maybe the last couple of weeks too, is who's the last player that you really had an emotional investment and attachment to?
on the Panthers.
Well, no. Well, I was asking him about the Commanders, right? Like somebody.
Oh, right,
and for me, when I asked him this question, I then explained the reason I asked this is because I don't have an emotional love for a single player on the Panthers.
Other than JJ Jansen.
Yeah. Right. And
that's such a bad thing.
But, you know, is like I don't have a guy who I will fight, you know, like I'm just like, I love him. I'm, you know, he's better than all you bitches say. Fight. Hassan Reddick might have been the last guy that I kind of loved as a Panther.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I loved Hassan Reddick. I wish we could have him back. Again, a short-term contract, 2 or 3 years. Like, again, that's just...
Somebody said I'm not even attached to Sir Purr at this point. What's that bear doing?
Yeah, I mean, I would do it.
Taking our number 1 overall draft pick.
Yeah, Illinois Jones says, I think Brown is a cornerstone. You know what? And that's what he's been our guy that we have to say that we like and we love. And I've been... Even, you know, a lot of Panther fans shitted on Brown through his first 2 years. And I said, look, dude, this guy's doing exactly what we drafted him to be, making the run, you know, like, and then all of a sudden here you come. I learned my lesson with Star Lotulelei. I learned my lesson. It's like,
how important they are.
Right. So I understand Derek Brown is the only guy that I might say on the team. He's the only one that I might say. And then Bryce Young is there because you need him to be.
Yeah, like
you
right
need
now,
him. Right.
I don't think we can put. Let's be real about it. This dude, if he was a rah-rah type of a leader, then maybe. But right now, Bryce Young. You know, if, like I maybe we would be a little more attached to him. But like you're right. I think the only thing we were attached to is the fact that we need him to be the guy.
I want him to be. I want him to be. And, you know, I like his little adorableness in some ways. But I did tell you guys last year, I said, at what point, or I asked this question, I didn't tell you. I asked you guys, at what point in the season does everything's great, we got to just keep doing like the perfect answer? Right. So Cam is an imperfect speaker. Right. Cam Newton, my favorite player since Julius Peppers, is an imperfect speaker. He mixes his words up all the time. I do it all the time. I mix people's names up. Maybe that's why I love him in so many ways. But his points, if you can get past, like, oh, he said, you know, something and he used the wrong word. But if you try to look at the centralness of the point, I always said Cam is smart. And people are like, whatever. And it was because like he's he's just not well spoken in a way or polished speaker, you know. And I asked this with Bryce is because he is such a polished speaker. You know, like his answers are always perfect. Now I asked this at the beginning of last year, is like, at what point, how many losses do we get annoyed by everything's great, I love everything, I'm mad at that Bryce, you know. But I don't want to shit on a person for doing what they're supposed to do. So I don't need to shit on Bryce Young for saying what you should say. You know, like, I mean, he says those things. I mean, like, you should. Those are the right things to say. Just like Chase Young said he wanted to join a winner. Probably could have said it like, well, like, want to restore them to winning after I get my neck fucking fixed. I think this is, I don't want to hate on Bryce for doing the right things. And he's saying the right things. Look, but I'm not going to love Bryce like I love Cam until he just fucking is a CK.
Dog. Oh, shit.
Dog. You know, and I do. I want him to be that. And I think he can be. Or I hope he can be. But I don't even know. I don't love him like I love Cam. I had Cam's jersey before he played a snap.
Well, also Cam Newton earned our love in year 1.
Like game one, bro. He had the best game in a rookie.
That's what I'm saying. Like Cam Newton, you saw the future, and if you could project, oh yeah, this is the dude that we want leading our franchise for the foreseeable future.
Cam was so awesome.
But not only did we not get that at all from Bryce, had one of the worst rookie seasons. Wait, who said that, Tony? One of the worst rookie seasons since
I don't
before
know. He
Vietnam.
said
Before
Vietnam.
Vietnam is
Like, whatever. First, then somebody said you weren't even alive when
it was historically one of the worst rookie seasons ever.
Why?
And then on top of that, Tony,
it wasn't.
No, I mean from a
interceptions. It must have been just in yards. Like, what was the worst part?
Yards, passing touchdowns. Dude,
I know it had like 13 to 11.
One of the worst rookie seasons ever. But also, unlike Cam Newton, Tony, he's 5'10", 190 pounds.
I know.
So it's like you were
he's
already
not my type.
He already
he's not my type, Cody.
He already had to win over so many different people because of his deficiencies in the size category and the strength category and the maneuverability type of category that he was already kind of behind the curve. So we're really going to have to see a jump in development from Bryce if Panther fans are ever going to start to be feeling good about the chances of this team.
I wonder why it's considered the worst ever. I mean, look, he had 2,877 yards. He didn't have very much, but he did have one more touchdown than interception. All right, man, it was only 11. It was just unproductive.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be a little exaggerative. That's the worst. It just was unproductive. 5.5 yards an attempt. Anyway, let's take another call. Look, I got somebody in the hole. I said we play them. Yep. We're not going to make them wait any longer. They already waited 15 minutes because we were talking about CK. We were talking about
dog.
Hey guys, it's the growl that makes him howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther. What's up, dog? Sorry, I can't do it like CK, but how is anyone going to say Dan Morgan's destroying the Panthers? The only thing he's destroying is the bullshit that we've come to know and loathe, for the past 5 years. I mean, all this thinking, oh, we're not that far away. If we do this and this, we'll be good. No. And it never works out. We're the best looking team on paper. Shit, we're the new Tampa, Tony. We always look great. And see, the whole NFC South is Tampa. We always look great on paper, and then we suck on the field. But that's what Dan Morgan's destroying. So for you guys who think that he's destroying the Panthers, is this what you want is that what you want the Panthers to be? Because, he actually, he's a football guy through and through. He's played football. He's been in the scouting departments of several teams that have, actually gone somewhere in this league. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And he loves the Panthers. So I think it's foolish for anyone not to give him a chance. And I'm not saying that this is what this podcast is doing. I think quite the opposite. Even though we're in wait and see mode. Because, last year we were buying the hype at this point. This year, you know what? It looks great now. But will it look great in September? That's what we want to see. Anyway, guys.
Wow. Thank you very much. Wakanda forever. David Screws, what is the breaking news? Tell us. I saw something I did. I went right away to X, the dead platform.
He put David. He said Falcons are screwed. Tampering charges. Kirk Cousins could be facing jail time and losing first round picks. Yeah, I kind of.
You know what he's gonna get jail time for? Is embezzlement, embezzling all that. Nah, man, like I got mad respect for Kirk Cousins. Kirk.
Dude,
I always say his name. Kirk Cousins.
Overrated.
Tucker makes more money than anybody.
Oh, so what? Are we really going to do this whole thing again?
No, we're not going to do. Why? You're the one that does it because you're like,
No,
so what?
Yeah, because you have to
fucking
slob
game.
his knob every single time we talk about Kirk Cousins.
Okay. Well, guess what? For someone that had to borrow money tonight, I got respect.
You could probably throw a football just as far as Kirk Cousins.
No, I could not at all, dude. This guy, you are way underestimating him. All right, let's keep rocking through the show. We still got a couple more minutes to get some calls in. 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Longest running Panthers podcast. Really great conversation going on, particularly in the chat. Thank you guys for your time and hanging out with us tonight. It really means a lot. The Panthers, and when it comes to the national media, guys have been taking a drumming. CK, your guy, Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
He said this at one point. He said, I didn't ever expect this to be a Carolina Panthers show. But then they just talk it shit. I am irritated by the shit talking about the Carolina Panthers. Why are finally, we always say we don't want to get any media attention. And now
we're just getting off the media.
This is it.
Well,
go ahead, CK.
It is irritating because what is happening, and again, the problem that you run into is a lot of even our own reporters. I'm not going to go into that whole thing because it was a whole thing.
I know.
Have flamed this fire, right? They've added gasoline to it at a national level and really taken out of context a lot of the circumstances surrounding, for instance, the Brian Burns trade, all of that stuff. All they can talk about is the fact that we were offered, reportedly, not even confirmed, we were offered 2 firsts for Brian Burns, right? When he was in his rookie contract. And somehow that's equivalent to our trade for him for a 2nd round pick. But it's an unreal thought process that these people don't have an ability to draw connections. Again, you run into this with any mainstream media. You're learning about it, every single day you see it. I saw it with, for instance, Elon Musk when they had the SpaceX rocket that just launched in a historic fashion, largest thing to ever orbit the United States, or the entire Earth rather. And their headline was likely burned up on reentry. That was their headline. Like, it wasn't like history making thing that just took place, right? There was never going to be a successful reentry of this. It was never.
It doesn't get clicks. It doesn't get.
I know.
But also, but let's be real, boys. What do we expect? The Panthers have been the worst team in football for 5 years, and now all of our blunders are on this giant stage because we have this braggadocious owner from Pittsburgh who feels like he's been such a savior to the Charlotte area for bringing music back. But also, I mean, this talk when it comes to Brian Burns and this narrative that we sort of talked about last week, Tony and CK, that the Panthers got fleeced because of this trade that apparently they had last year with the Los Angeles Rams, where they had 1st-round picks available for Brian Burns, and they chose not to take it. This is from Shannon Sharp, right?
Yeah.
So this is from Shannon Sharp.
After he got his back beat in, he said this.
He said Carolina, they lose Brian Burns. They get a 2nd and a 5th from the Giants, but they just paid a guard $100 million. They got him from the Dolphins, Robert Hunt. Afterwards, they allowed linebacker Frankie Louvu to leave. 3 years, $36 million to the Commanders. This lets you know they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They previously turned down a pair of 1st-round picks from the Los Angeles Rams.
Antonio Brown, we need your help. Go ahead.
But he was not the only one talking about the Carolina Panthers. I saw the clip coming from Colin Cowherd, who's never traditionally been a big fan of the Panthers or even Cam Newton. But he would even go on to say Carolina is without question on a heater as the worst team in the league for half a decade. They're a mess. Say what you want about Cam Newton. They were fun when he was there. They didn't win all the time, but they were fun with Cam Newton. Undeniable. Cam made them a good watch. You can buy a season ticket, go to a game, and have fun watching Cam
True.
This is unwatchable. And
All
Tony,
true.
listen, I
That's
know a
true.
lot of fans, Panther Pickle, it said he muted Pat McAfee. There's a lot of people that are like, they don't want to hear all this shit that people are talking about the Panthers. But listen, if my argument, Tony, is if you're a Panther fan, I don't know why you would expect anything different. And the Panthers, only the Panthers are going to change this narrative about them.
Yeah.
Based on what we have done, we are not entitled at this point to anyone in the media saying anything good about the Carolina Panthers when everything that we've done for the past half a decade has amounted to shit on top of a hill.
Go ahead.
That's not an incorrect take, to be fair. I don't think anybody's expecting people to talk about us positively. What I would expect from journalism, and again, this is an expectation that isn't going to be met at any level of journalism, is honest integrity, right? And the fact of the matter is, using this thought that Brian Burns we were offered 2 first-round draft picks for Brian Burns is incredibly misleading, right? It makes it seem like we were offered
context.
Right. It makes it seem as though we went and traded him to the Giants in lieu of going and getting 2 first-round draft picks for him. Right. That's not what happened. Right. When we turned down those 2 first-round draft picks, we really believed we were going to be able to build something beyond that. We were still in the potential, at that time, we still had the potential to do something that we didn't know what that was. We realized this offseason that we needed a rebuild. We had been doing this retooling for too long, right? The situation changed. This is not Brian Burns has never been, in all honesty, even at his best, never has he been worth 2 first-round draft picks. If the Rams would have paid 2 first-round draft picks for Brian Burns, it would have been the biggest fleece on the planet.
Yes. Think of the other team's perspective, right? Or how about what if the Giants would have come in and said, we're going to give you a first and a third? Think about how ridiculous that would be from their perspective. I want to look, and I understand a lot of people not fans of Colin Cowherd. I respect his game, though, right? And that he's not an analyst as much as he is a talk show host. Right. And so what he is trying to do is to develop an individual conversation each day. So it doesn't have to have continuity from last week or last year. Colin Cowherd, one person pointed out on Twitter, I wish I could remember who it was. And they said, didn't he say we were going to win the division last year because of all the,
we were the dark horse for him.
Colin Cowherd is very good at doing what he's supposed to do, which is soundbite this and that. So he isn't wrong, though, on them being on the worst heater in a while.
Yeah.
Right? I am more disappointed in Shay after he got his back beat in and Chad Ochocinco and these people, because to me, and obviously I said this, my piece about Sheena and all these on Pat McAfee, is I think it would be irresponsible to be the people that paid Brian Burns $150 million.
Yeah.
And whether or not that Brian Burns is worth that money in your eyes, is that the right move for the Carolina Panthers? But you know what? That news doesn't sell. That news doesn't make fun discussion. And so I, again, can say that Brian Burns, somebody else can pay him $150 million, but it's not the right move for the Carolina Panthers. And I think throwing Robert Hunt out there for $100 million deal, when you think of what $100 million to $150 million is that, yeah, $100 million sounds like a lot, but what is that? What is CK? Help me with the math. That's $50 million. Says what? 50% more.
His is 50% higher, but here's the thing. Here's the better equivalent. We have 2 stud guards that we signed for the same price that we would have had to keep Brian Burns.
Right. And guess what that doesn't, and Brian Burns doesn't help Bryce Young. And I just feel, look, as I understand the media needing to do this, but this is where we have to continue to be as and what I do as a teacher and what I believe is this, and because I'm a historian, I teach history, and a lot of the game has changed since the advent of the internet, right? When I went to college, it was before the internet was just so accessible that it was faster to look up a phone number in the phone book in 1999 than it was on the internet. But that day has changed. So what now I really like to teach my students is it's not about retaining information. It's about being able to sift through an insane amount of data in a meaningful and valuable way, right? And so what we have to do, instead of overall lecturing these people as being shitty, we have to continue to help think about how to think about these points and to not be baited into this, and understanding that Sheena's got 45 seconds with Pat McAfee. And guess what doesn't make fun? Is talking about the context of that and setting it up for 4 minutes.
But one of the things I do hate, Tony, is the hypocrisy, because everyone in the media last year, almost to a T, a lot of the people that were very apologetic for Bryce Young having a bad rookie season, they all said the same thing, that Bryce has no help at wide receiver and that his offensive line is shit. Greg Olsen literally went on TV and said that you could not do a proper evaluation of Bryce Young under those circumstances last year. So, okay, what do the Panthers do? They go out, they get another wide receiver and offload Dante Jackson, and they spend a lot of money on 2 guards that are some of the best pass protecting guards that were on the market in free agency.
And what are they meant to do, Cody? Are they meant to help the defense get better? Or are they meant to help protect and make the most important position on your team be successful?
Ding.
Right.
That's the one. And I just hate the hypocrisy, man, because it's like with the Panthers, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
It would have been irresponsible to pay Brian Burns, folks. Irresponsible.
We've been saying
nothing to do about Brian Burns. Take him out of the equation.
Take
the player out of the equation.
Here's what the funny thing. All these people are complaining that we didn't get at least a first for Brian Burns. Those are the exact same people that would say the Giants made a mistake trading their first round draft pick, which is a high first round draft pick this year, and paying Brian Burns $150 million. Right. And those are the same people that would condemn the Giants for doing that because it makes no sense. And then they would start pulling up Brian Burns stats. Then they would start to show that. So it's all a matter of perspective. It's like you said, Tony, they're doing what they need to do. They're creating a rage. They're creating a
soundbite. They're creating I want to say clickbait, but look here.
The Panthers are we are the new Cleveland Browns. It is not. We are we are.
What we're talking about.
Yes, we are. We are the punching bag of the NFL from a media perspective. It's more easy. It is more easy to beat up and push and shove on the Carolina Panthers than it is any team in the NFL. It's like we're that kid that the bully put the kick me sign on their back.
Okay.
I want to draw the parallel for you. Why I agree with Cody, Tony, is remember one of the most frustrating things about the Browns where they would fire their coaches after a season or after 2 seasons,
right?
And so the media were all over that all the time, and they were a bad team. They would constantly have a top draft pick, and they could never do anything with it. They would bust every single time they would get a top draft pick. They finally started to be able to build a good team here in the past 4 or 5 years. But before that, for a decade, they would have a high draft pick. They wouldn't keep their coaches. And it was just a revolving door at quarterback. What has the Panthers been for the last 5 years since Cam Newton left?
Okay. I mean, but you could also say that about the Bears. You could say about the Commanders. You could say that about there's a lot of teams, but that's not what I want to argue about is whether or not we're the shit of the NFL. What I do want to just understand is that these these clickbaity titles. Look, the C3 Panthers podcast originally started as CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It wasn't the podcast. I thought we were going to have a fan site. It was, I would spend hours on hours every day writing fan posts on CarolinaCatChronicles.com, courting people. Now, if we had this army right now, if you guys, by the way, I still pay for the website. So if you want to write anything, we can put it out there. But here's the issue with, I will spend, because I like to write, I will spend a lot of time writing something and we'll tweet it out. And you know what people will do? They'll comment about it, but they won't read it. So really what you could do is build a website where you didn't write any articles, but you just wrote headlines. And that's what I'm saying is that's why the media is interested in Brian Burns, because it's a headline, not because it's a real story.
I think
now,
that would
if
be
it comes
hysterical, by the way, if you did that.
Maybe that's what I should do.
Just to see how many people just comment rage and tell you don't know what you're talking about without actually finding out that there was
and then
no
you
real
just like
article.
put what's that Sweeney? Can you guys tell me where the Sweeney girl with the great tits?
Sydney Sweeney?
Where did she come from? Where did she all of a sudden she is the internet?
Remember, I told you on your board. I told you.
You didn't like her. You like the darker skinned girl, right?
Yeah, but
Zendaya.
Zendaya is beautiful, but bro, she's got them chesticles. If you know what I'm saying, dog. She's,
oh my gosh!
But and I know how you know about her because Antonio Brown kept on posting a slew of.
I love it. No, she's all
her.
over the internet. Maybe it's like because the algorithm knows I like.
She's like she's like the new it girl. You know.
Oh, I'm well, duh.
How could you not be?
How could you not be? I mean, she isn't the not it girl. All right. What else we got? Nothing else, right? Is that the end? All the calls are done.
I want
to put out this. I want to say this. I want to say thank you to all the people that are listening. Thank you. Incredible turnout for us each and every week, man. You guys really mean a lot to us. One small way, other than you just being here, you can help us, is to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're on X or if you're on Facebook, share it, like it. I'm telling you, I know it just sounds like nothing or a lot. The share to your page, wherever you're watching this, lets new people find the podcast. Not just a like, but a share is a tremendous thing that you can do. For $1.99, you can be a C3 super fan. And you can continue to support the podcast in other ways, like going to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, checking out. Cody, can you put up a couple of the gear real quick? We're not good salesmen. We got the good mug. Best thing you can get. By the way, Stripe is about to cancel my account because it's still under Joey's name, and I have to try to negotiate it with him. So this could be only a month left before you could not get this ever again. And working on that, T-shirts, all of that jazz. But really, the best thing you can do is just hang out with us each and every week. We're here on Tuesday. On Friday, Cody does a free-for-all. One day, Cody is going to care about the draft. How about this? Am I wearing Cody down? Do you not care about these prospects?
Yeah, I definitely do. But
where are you then?
Definitely
convince me to care, bitch.
Oh, hey, you don't care about anything. Every time I show you a good show, you have to be this old curmudgeon.
It's good. It's good.
Game of Thrones, it's okay. You just like it for the tits. Bro,
I do love it for the tits.
Hey, but let me tell you about
hold on. You want to talk about Choco for a second?
Yeah, before we do, man. No, I wanted to double down on your point. Dude, C3 Nation has grown so much. We call ourselves the Legion because we are Legion, bro. You are C3. We've had so many new fans that have joined in the recent weeks and months, and we want to let y'all know that this is your podcast, man. Not only can you come on the show every Friday at 7 p.m. for the free-for-all, but also if you follow our boys on Twitter, they're always doing C3 Twitter spaces where everyone can be a part of those conversations with Diesel, Skills, Panther Pickle, Anthony, G Baby, Kobe, all the boys are always doing the work, man. And hey, man, we respond to people too. So if you would like to reach out to us on Twitter and just comment on the show or just be a part of it in any way,
involved,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
let's build a
this
brand
is your
together.
show. We are all C3. You put C3 in your name, man. We have like a full Twitter army of people that rock C3 24 hours a day, man. And we're happy to have y'all part of it with us.
All right. One thing is the real C3 AP says GOT tits, incest, and war. You want tits and bloodshed? You know, I can one up Game of Thrones. Go watch Spartacus.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was such a good
show, dude.
Show.
Oh my gosh,
Great
tits
show.
everywhere, heads getting cut off. One time when it first came out, I found it and I don't know how I stumbled across. I was like, I was like, oh, this show's awesome. And I said, Miranda, my wife, asked my wife to watch. I said, and we watched one episode. And she goes, well, I guess I know why you like it. It's just fucking and people getting killed. And it's
be honest. You liked all of the giant schlongs that were in that show.
Duh.
That was your favorite part.
Oh my
Dude, I
God.
watched it just because I knew that the lead actor died like shortly after season 2 or something like that.
Well, actually, so it was the way it happened is the first season went down and it was fucking incredible. And he was awesome.
He was amazing.
He got like lymphoma cancer. They had to postpone the development of it.
So
they then did a prequel, which was fucking tremendous.
Was that Blood and Sand?
Yeah, it was so good. And then he came back and died while they were making the show.
Yeah,
and then so they had to replace him.
And I mean, it was still good. Like everything was awesome. It was just great. It was such a great show.
Have you watched all of show? Have you watched every episode of Shogun? By the way, there's a brand new episode tonight at 10.
Oh, cool.
I even upgraded my Hulu to get rid of all the fucking commercials.
Oh, God.
Because I'm like so tired of commercials.
Yeah, we can't tell them about the real truth. We can't say it aloud because it's special.
No, I know.
But let me celebrate Shogun on a couple of things. Number one, I think the cinematography is very good. Right, like all the shots, the camera, like the look to it,
beautiful.
Right, it's a beautiful show.
Being a professor of history, I'm guessing you like the accuracies around that.
You know, I'm not very familiar with Asian, like
we're talking Shogun on FX, by the way.
I'm not super familiar with the East Asian or like East Asian, Eastern history, like to that point, particularly where Japan's like getting involved in the world. So I will have to like brush up or look into how accurate it is. I think the acting is good. You know, I think it's pretty. I mean, I just thought when you said it's like, it's good. It's very good. It's just like you were like
the main character
be on cable.
Dude, the main character, John Blackthorne is one of the
English guy,
best
my
main
least favorite person on the fucking show.
You have no taste. He is the best fucking main character of a show that I've seen in forever. The fact that he's so adverse to that world, like he's so turned off by the Japanese culture, and he has this mission.
Why would he be turned off by the Japanese culture? And first of all, I love this culture that sends courtesans into your bedroom. This is where I need to belong.
They killed a baby because his father committed a sin against their Lord. There's some crazy
Who killed
shit.
the baby? Not the English guy.
No, he's talking about the Japanese. He's saying the aversion. He was walking through the village and I saw a guy who was Japanese get his head cut off because he was praying for him.
Right, but also for those of you who haven't seen the show, this guy Lord Toranaga, he's basically going to be evicted from this council of all the Japanese high lords, and one of his men goes to bat for him and defends him. And in Japan, you're not supposed to defy your lord. So he had to commit seppuku and end the male line of his family, killing himself and his infant son. And John Blackthorne.
Okay, what is that got to do with
just like, because you're talking about what about the culture is there to be turned off by? He's a foreigner in a foreign land, and it really
Did you not see that hot ass girl that just came in and was like, they send a girl to, they're like,
distracted by the tits. There's more than just tits on the show.
Japanese tits. I haven't seen their little Japanese tits yet. That's where you. That is where you were like, oh, this show belongs on cable. On this podcast last week, you said it shouldn't even belong on cable. I thought
you're mad that there weren't enough tits. There were not
more
enough
heads
tits.
get cut off or something. I thought it was going to be edgier than you thought when you said that.
I mean, dude, for an FX show,
the courtesan is really the Japanese are wild sexually.
Considering what happened at the end of last week's episode, I'd say it's pretty fucking gnarly.
Yeah, that's good. Do you really think those? I want to know, and CK, why you asked about the historical accuracy. Now, the English did have good long cannons. They were naval powers. They're shooting those cannons with fucking incredible accuracy. I don't know if that's really possible.
Well, again, in the show, they talk about how the Portuguese cannons,
actually, you know what? Promise
Portuguese cannons
exactly right. I was he is 100% right. It's when they didn't have karaoke jack off. I was like, this ain't real Eastern culture.
You're a very simple man. You want tits.
I'm honest.
Karaoke
I'm honest.
Dude, listen. If ever I give a recommendation for a show, you know it's good. And if Tony is like poo-pooing it and being an old Scrooge duck curmudgeon, that's also how you know it's a great fucking show. Check out
it's good. It is good. No, I mean, it's enjoyable. I like it. I've been watching it. I like it a lot.
You get to see a time in human history that isn't often shown a lot on television. So it's badass.
Can we?
I don't know. Fucking can we?
Ice some fools up.
Thank God.
If you say so. All right, ice some fools up. Toughen up. Ice up. Get your act together.
Hey, man, I'm an honest person, bro.
Yeah, and I'm honest that you have no taste.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. This is where we step outside of football, or we can do whatever the fuck we want. It's the ice up segment where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, get it together. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Guys, we've always got a few to go. We always have to announce how many we got. I got maybe 3. I can't play all the videos for all of them or get picked. What do you got, Cody? Let's go around.
I have 2 of them.
Okay. I got 2.5. CK, what do you got?
I got 1.
Okay. Let me start with, can I start with the most depressing of this?
You insist.
Gosh, I know it stinks. This one just
why do you have to bum me out all the time, dude?
Officials at Texas officials with the Tennessee Titans and Texas A&M have confirmed they are aware of charges and arrest. Blaze Taylor arrested. Now, wait until you see this. I'm going to share this. I was like, that's what I saw. I was like, all right, I saw this tweet about this, whatever. And I don't know why 2 teams that are one college or whatever. Blaze Taylor was arrested Thursday night in Utah on a grand jury indictment of 2 charges of first-degree murder. Taylor, 27, was wanted allegedly for poisoning his girlfriend, Jade Benning, and her unborn child.
Jesus.
Worked for the Tennessee Titan organization several years, including 2022 season. Left Nashville to work in Utah State. Son of longtime football FBS running backs coach Trooper Taylor, Blaze Taylor, had agreed to join Texas A&M a month earlier. Now, I hope that doesn't bring too many Ray Caruth vibes to the show, but that's some fucking wild ass shit, bro.
Yeah.
Ice up. Don't poison people and don't poison pregnant. I was not expecting that. Let me just say that when I clicked like first degree murder, I wasn't like, oh, I just ground up glass and fed it to my pregnant wife for the last month.
Yeah. Ice up.
Yeah.
So my ice up, I never saw this when it originally happened. So I don't know who this guy is, but he was excited. He's a Formula One driver. He wins a race. Probably got a little bit too excited.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah, he shoots it up her skirt.
So what are you icing up here?
I'm icing up.
Is it sexual assault?
In
Somebody
the
said it was
moment.
sexual assault.
Yeah, I mean, somebody said that. I don't know, but it's just in the moment. Hey, man, that victory lap or that podium, man, it'll have you doing some weird shit. This one. Oh yeah,
Here you go, and then we'll bounce around.
I'm not used to CK having one.
Yeah. This one, I
always
can't remember if we've done this one either, to be honest with you, but I saw it and I was like, this is gonna be mine. So obviously you have the trends of dancing and all that stuff on these streets now. Let me make sure I got the right one up here. And this one is just it's supposed to be
is she like gonna do some what is that where you
it's
run and jump and flip and stuff?
No, this is supposed to be an attractive thing. I don't know what it is. This is not.
Man, I'm already excited.
Me. Yeah, well, I can tell, Tony.
I'm a man of passion. I'm Italian. I'm a lover. Oh, bitch. And she's not even that hot.
I know.
Oh, just to do her stupid dance on the fucking
I mean, look at
car.
that roof. Like, I mean, just oh my god, like steps right on the glass.
Oh, fucking
look
drop.
at this. And look, she gets less attract. Look, then you realize she's like fourth. Oh god.
Tony, I told you.
I know.
Yeah, I would drop kick that bitch.
I had too many Pabst blue ribbons in me to start that clip, and then I sobered up as she fucking walked on my Ferrari.
You're welcome.
All right, Tony, you want to go? You want me?
Yeah. All right. So this one, I'm not going to play it, but I want to say this is I can't play it because we'll get banged for it. But there was this couple that was all right. So the title of it was passed out and lost their kids. They were on the beach drunk.
Oh, I just saw this. I almost picked it.
Right. And because I couldn't show it, but look, all of it is fucking ice up gold from top to bottom. I was surprised when the cop walked up to them and they were passed out and the dude just had his arm around her. Like it wasn't like they were. He said there's no hugging on the beach. I was like, Jesus Christ. And then they hit him with there's no drinking on the beach. He's like, I mean, I get that, but no hugging on the beach. But it did get fucked up. They lost their kids while they were passed out drunk. And it just got worse and worse and worse. But when that dude tried to run and like dislocated his shoulders, it was terrible. So I wanted to ice that up. All that is ice up, but I do think hugging should be allowed on the beach. This is my real ice up. And what I want to say is what I'm icing up is that I didn't see the first the comment first, and I'll just tell you what it was. But watch this.
What? Whoa! Real short for that one. Hello.
Oh, don't worry. It's still going. It's still going. It's like I got 30 more seconds, dude.
That went down to the bitch's small intestine.
No, like to our ankle.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, nasty.
What I'm really mad at is that
the horror movie.
Oh. I'm mad that
Semester said I'm in love.
I know. The best, I don't know what there's nothing really to ice up here, but more to celebrate is that the very first comment that I saw was now in reverse. And they backed the video up. Dude, I was like, I love the internet. Now in reverse. All right. That's my shit. I'm
so good.
All right. You got one more?
Yeah. My last ice up is to adrenaline junkies that actually go out on the ice and do dumb shit. Oh, look at this moron.
They're going to jump off a mountain? Oh, they are. Oh, shit. This is not going to go well.
Oh,
There's no flex in. Oh, no. No.
He needs
He's
some
just
milk.
limp.
He needs some milk.
Yeah, you never heard that before? Bro, that's an old meme.
Oh, God.
Hey, man, so, yeah, before you go kayaking down the side of a fucking mountain, maybe decide not to, you know? So,
Panther Gal said, my kid's sitting here reading to me, and we're watching this on mute. Panther Gal, please don't make me make the worst. Oh, she can't hear me. I can say whatever I want right now. Oh my gosh, that's just too much open field right there. Ice up to
all of them.
Yeah. It's the C3.
Let's get out of here early for once. Holy shit.
It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Each and every week, I do it with my homeboys, Cody Lack to my left, CK underneath me here. But he's the best. These guys are the best. Y'all are the best. Cody Lack will be back on Friday because you don't care about the draft anymore. I love it. Take us out of here.
No, I care about the draft. We'll be putting out some content for the month.
Liar.
For the rest of the month.
It doesn't matter.
If I don't do it, Lord knows it won't get fucking done. So someone better care about the draft. Yeah, you're damn straight. So it'll get done when I say it gets done.
So to give some love, Tony gave me and Cody some love. I'm gonna say, and Tony is a dog.
Oh, get us there.
C3 Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.
Hey y'all, Darius Rucker here. You know, a lot of people ask me, what inspires your music? And one of the big things is a strong sense of place. That's why I love my home state of South Carolina and want to share the awesome things it has to offer. From the beautiful mountains down to the sunny coast, it's got it all. Not to mention two of my personal favorites, great golf and amazing food. Come see why I love this place. Visit discoversouthcarolina.com.